Alrighty, guys, we are here in the shed. Guess who's here? We have ourselves Phoenix Resale.
Yeah, and
we got Chris, Riff, and Lance from Retroware.
What's going on?
Back in the day, all right here. We got actually Caleb on the podcast. How you feel, man?
Caleb, you're here.
Yeah, thanks, Caleb. Appreciate you answering that one.
Dude, rule number one, don't ever talk over me.
I'm sorry, this is my first podcast ever. I've been thinking about this for a year. I'm so nervous.
How's it feel to be here?
Boy, I feel like I've been thinking about this day for the last... I'll tell you this. Retro Rick might be your #1 channel fan, but I think I am the #1 podcast fan. I have listened to every single episode of this show all the way through. I actually was keeping track of some of your worst takes ever. Maybe we'll get to that. Maybe we won't. But I write them down. Every time Riff says something stupid,
I get
I'm
a text.
Like, all right, I'm going to bring this up to him live.
I will say you have been supporting the podcast. Since day one, you've always been very talkative to me about it.
That.
So.
Thank you.
Always the tone of surprise with you.
You know, I'm always surprised because the reality of why you're here is everybody knows you're a scumbag.
That is the main thing I'm known for.
All right, so obviously...
Started with my parents, and now it's just everyone.
So obviously I'm joking. Obviously we're joking. But, okay, the big thing on the internet, you've done videos confronting these people, talking to people, business owners, brutal reality. You're a reseller. Some people love you to death. Mm-hmm. And for some reason or other, I want to hear from you. There's a large amount of people who hate you to death. You've quickly become kind of the target of collecting channels, flipping channels, maybe both even, justified or not, which we'll get into. I want to hear just your take in general to all of the reaction to you kind of being the hated guy within that world.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I've been grappling with that more recently of just like the reality of, I made a video recently called "Why is my YouTube channel so widely hated?" Because I have been realizing more recently from other people in the space, man, like my channel seems to get more of it. Like the channel grew and I kind of thought like this is just part of it, but it seems like it's a bit more a part of it for me than maybe even the average YouTube channel. As for why, I guess they're just good judges of character. And they see right through me.
I don't think so. I disagree with that. And I'm just going to vouch for you as a human being. And I've known you, we've hung out a few times. You genuinely are a really good guy.
Well, thank you, man.
You are.
I'm glad I have you
It's
fooled.
Unfortunate that people say that. And I watched some of the videos that you put out. And I was like, dang, it was very heartfelt listening to you talk about that. Because knowing you as a person, I'm like, dang, you're such a good guy. It sucks that you're getting hate like that.
Well, I appreciate that.
I would say that one thing that his benefits his channel, he handles it very well. What were you gonna say, Lance?
No, I was just gonna say, because we've had Caleb at Retro World before. One of the easiest guests to work with. Just gets back to you. He's very professional.
Yeah, well, you guys put on a great show.
We don't know each other personally too well, but what I do know is
and as a
very,
fellow
very good guy.
Expo owner now, thank God, because it is very nice to have someone who's very easy to work with.
Yeah.
A question I wanted to ask you is when you feel the hate, read the hate, whatever, is there a percentage of it where you ever feel like, oh shoot, they're actually maybe kind of right on that versus the number of people? I have a theory of why I believe people hate you for sure.
Yeah. So, well,
we'll get to it.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it. But I would say previously, because my stance on this has changed a lot recently in the last year or so, I've actually gone from continuing to try to read the comments and stay as in touch with the good and the bad feedback as possible to now I just take the advice that everyone has always given me, which is just ignore it. That does come at a cost because you do lose some of that contact with the community that made you. But what I've realized is over the course of growing a channel, my thought going into it was that, okay, as the channel grows, pretty much proportionate to the channel growth, the hate is going to grow. But I was totally wrong. What has actually been the case is that graph has not been linear. As the channel grows, the hate grows. It's actually been more exponential. So it shoots up. Not just the number of haters grows, but the ratio of good to bad gets worse over time. And
I did see you talk about that and even thought about it in my mind, because I used to think, that was going to happen, right? To someone like us, let's say even Pixel Game Squad, okay, as we grow, hate's going to grow at some level with it, right? Nothing exponential.
Yeah.
And when I was listening to your video of you talking about that, kind of how the hate has kind of rocketed up along with the channel, I feel like it was shockingly like high, right? To a level to where it felt like, as someone who's on YouTube sees other channels, I'm like, that is shocking, the amount. But I personally believe, like, I've again been on YouTube forever, 12 years, different people, helping channels. I think that you're just too honest. And I feel like every YouTuber, and I hate to say it, but it's almost a reality, is there's some falsehood that goes into every channel, whether it's a little bit of character or a little bit of personality or a little bit of like, I don't want to say that on camera, let me just keep this to the side. Or, you know, even like guys like us, nothing major that we're hiding, but maybe just little things like, maybe cut that part because it might make us look a little bad, even though it wasn't a big deal. But I feel like you're the only one I've ever met on YouTube, especially being your editor, where you're like, whatever, put it all in. Like, you don't tell me, oh, cut that might look bad, that might make me look a certain way. You're like, that's just the truth. That is just the truth. Because I guarantee you 80% of the people at conventions who are buying stuff, whether they're going to play the game or flip it, whatever, they don't need to be transparent, nor are they filming it about what they're doing with it. But I just think you're so honest about it that people are like, why are you telling them that you're going to flip it? They hate that. But it's just you being honest about what you're doing.
And one of the main reasons I would think you get so much hate is because it's towards being a reseller, right? Like, do you feel like you've gotten more hate now that you're reselling more with your YouTube channel?
For sure.
So you've noticed probably more,
For sure.
of it, right? And obviously I've been a reseller since day one. I could speak to the amount of hate that I got when I first opened my store. Like, it's always been there. People just do not like resellers. Some people do not. So I think what you're referring to is like the honesty. And I was surprised when your channel came out. I remember watching it for the first time and being like, whoa, kind of like, I was like, whoa, that's like a different approach to reselling, because you were so direct with it.
Yeah.
And I'd been a reseller for years, and I was even like, oh, like, I'm surprised you would go.
Made you uncomfortable?
No, not me, because I dealt with all that stuff. I was like, oh, this is like right in my ballpark. I love this stuff. It was nice to hear from my perspective, it was refreshing almost to be like, oh, I love this. You're actually open about what we do.
Well, again, because you're not even just saying like we're reselling it. Like, you'll be honest. Like, they'll be like, well, are you sure you want it? Well, you're like, let me pull out the number. Nope, I need 10% less than that. Like, that's what I get. And it's like, it's just not even just honest, but it's like the detailed honesty.
It's the details of it, right? Like, as myself as a reseller, like if people would, like as a store owner, like I've kind of always hidden like what my margins are and what I'm making and what I'm paying for people, because when people hear, wait, you paid that much and then you sold it for that, oh, I don't like you now, you ripped that person off. And so as a business owner, I would kind of hide some of that stuff, you know, like not put it out there, versus you were like, boom, here it is. Analytically.
Yeah, well, it definitely does come at a cost. I'm glad to hear you guys say that, because actually one of Spencer, my only employee, and I have been trying to crystallize.
I'm sitting right here, dude. Don't I kind of count as an employee?
You're like a hobbit. You're a halfling.
The way we treat Curtis's mom.
We've been trying to crystallize the business's core values this last year, and one of them is radical honesty. And so I'm glad to hear that has been something that's come through on the channel. But you're right that it comes at a cost, because especially when you're talking to people that aren't as business minded, you run a big risk of things getting lost in translation. Like, if you are in your store and someone sees you offering 30% of market value for a game that you know is going to sit forever, right? And that you can't feasibly pay more because you've got all the overhead and the expenses and the employees, and it's got to be cleaned and tested. And there's all the work that goes into it. The average person might not know that. So when you're radically honest and you say, hey, this is a $100 game, I'll give you $30, some of that might get lost. And maybe that's where part of the hate comes from. But I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I think part of it also is like, as the channel has grown, and as any channel grows, you lose underdog status, right? So the more successful you become, one thing I heard in the last couple of weeks is like, when you start out and you're the underdog, you remind people of their dreams, right? But the more successful you get, you start to remind them that they gave up on them.
It's interesting too. Like, I guess a good question for you, Lance. If you don't know, Lance is one of the founders of Retroware, or the founder. How's that?
Yeah, so I founded Retroware with John D'Elia.
Yep.
We don't own the name anymore. We own all our content, but yeah, it was a long time ago now.
You guys were some of the more popular YouTubers back in when was this? 2010?
Yeah, 2008, 2009.
Wow.
Early days.
Early. Were you guys, when you guys grew, because you guys were some of the bigger dogs within the retro world as well, was like hate comments something you would see as often, or were you guys kind of beloved because you were holding games as strictly the history of games, or was it?
You know, it's kind of funny because I was going to say this about Caleb stuff, and you know, as you grow, you get more comments, and good and bad. Just reviews overall, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google, a restaurant, whatever. For everybody who likes something, they're probably less like to comment on it than somebody who hates something.
True.
So you're gonna get like all this hate because they're angry. They don't like it. But there's probably 1,000 people to the 50 that didn't like it, that really did like it. So that's probably why, as your audience grew, you saw more hate. And you gotta excuse my voice, paralyzed vocal cord things going on. But you know, and as far as me, that like, I'm glad that you don't let it bother you, because it actually really bothered me. And we got bigger and stuff, more of that came and kind of affected me a while. And then I came to that conclusion eventually. And
Yeah.
you know, so
Is that why you ultimately stopped doing YouTube videos?
well,
Was it because of that?
It's actually very, you know, it was very hard for me to do a lot of audio. Again, paralyzed vocal cord, I get winded easily and all that kind of stuff. So, and it, you know, at the same time, I just had kids. You know, John went to business school, and we couldn't contribute as much as we wanted to, and our lives just kind of diverted and got into other things like the expo, and just decided to go in that direction. So,
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because if I give the impression that it doesn't get to me, which I probably do because I joke
Hank.
about it a lot.
Hater Hank.
One of my
Yeah, the
favorite
Hater Hank bit.
segments. Hater Hank. Dude.
Yeah.
One of my favorite.
Yeah, so for the longest time, my strategy was to read the comments and then try to embrace them by like making jokes of them. So it probably gave the impression that it doesn't really get to me, but like it's almost impossible for it not to. Like
I
if
would
you're
think so.
if you're really honest, like there are times when you'll read a comment and you'll find yourself like thinking about it as you're laying in bed. Especially when, and the worst ones for me are when you see multiple people calling you out for something that is the opposite of who you want to be, right? So like when people accuse me of like hiding stuff, right? Or being false or shifty, or like that really gets to me, because I'm so much about like, I'm trying to like really put myself out there and not hide stuff, hide less than most people do. And so when people accuse me of like concealing information or like, you know, like cheating someone or things like that, and especially if that's a common comment on a certain video, that like really that has the potential to get into my brain, and really it's hard not to ask yourself, man, like, am I really seeing myself rightly here? Like, is there something to this? Like, why are so many other people seeing me in a way that is in direct contrast to how I want to see myself?
I have another question, but I'll let you go first.
Well, we did an episode on here where we brought up like hate comments. It was, and there was
We do
one-
have some comments coming for Caleb. Just a heads
and
up.
I don't.
Uh-oh.
And I tend to, like, when we do the podcast, I don't go in and read the comments myself anymore, because I personally, it affects me too.
Yeah.
And like even that one comment that we read, I forget what it was. It was like, I just can't stand Chris. Is he
Oh, it
so
was on Ward's
unlikable or
channel,
something
yeah.
like that? Like it was in my head for days.
Yeah.
And I had told Blake, Blake was like, here, can I read you this comment? And I was like, I don't know if I want to hear it. And then he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He just read it out. And I'm like, and I told him 2 days later, I'm like, that's all I've been thinking about now.
The other
for 2
day,
days.
Mort texted me and he's like, "Hey, have you heard of this?" I literally can't remember. Have you heard of this blank guy? He's like doing videos hating on us. And to guard myself, my literal response to Mort was, "Nope," and I do not care. Do not share the link.
Yeah, I'd
don't
rather
share a
just not know.
screenshot. I want to know nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. And I moved on, and guess what? It didn't affect me because I just moved on. Now, my question to you, I feel like the YouTube would kill us if I didn't ask about this. All right, this is just, I have to ask.
I'm ready.
GameCube Gambit.
Yes.
Do you, I think that's where your, like a lot of your hate came from. Yeah, there's reseller stuff, but I know a lot of the community started hating on you. If you guys aren't aware, GameCube Gambit did a whole series collecting his favorite GameCube games. Then to the internet, you immediately sold your whole collection. Maybe clarify what happened, if you felt like you were disingenuous, or if you felt like you're honest, or if people missed it.
Yeah, so the background of that is I did this series collecting, like the whole premise of the GameCube Gambit series was I am building my childhood dream GameCube collection that I never got a chance to have as a kid because I didn't own a GameCube. So I had a list of 60 or so games that I really wanted to get, and I spent like a year doing it, building up this collection, and I didn't realize like how much it would catch on. Right, because I had never done a collecting series. Up until that point, it had been just reselling content. Like, here's what I'm buying.
I feel like
here's
that's kind of what skyrocketed you into a little more fame, that series.
Yeah, it was definitely broader appeal than what I had been doing before. And then got to the end of the series and made a video about that. I will say I shot myself in the foot a little bit how I packaged it, right? Because what I was doing is going through all of the games that I had gotten in that series. I had ended up with over 100 games. A lot of which were never on the list in the first place, and some of which I had played and realized I actually don't want. So once the series was finally done, I got to a moment where I was like, all right, I need to be critical about what games I want to curate for my permanent collection and then just sell off the rest. But I made a video that was called Selling My GameCube Collection.
Yes, notorious.
Yeah, or something like that, that blew up for, it was on the second channel, blew up for the second channel, and people were furious. I had no idea, could not have anticipated how mad people were about it. And I think there are two reasons for it. One is there was already kind of a sentiment of like, Caleb's a fake gamer. He's like pretending to be into collecting for views, right? Or gaming, because like we all know he's really mostly about the money, because that's what the channel had always been about. It's called Phoenix Resale. You know, that's what I'm about. So there was always this underlying sentiment that like maybe this guy's not for real. And then to have that video come out, I think a lot of people felt really betrayed by it. And for a while, I was really defensive about that. I was like, guys, like we are grown men. Let's not care so much about what other grown men do with their possessions.
Yes.
And every time I start to tell Erica about like why people are pissed about this, she just gives me the weirdest look like, what are you talking about? How do people actually care about this? But the longer I've thought about it, the more I've realized like I'm kind of flattered in a way that people are so upset by it, because it means that in the first place, people cared. And I think that is, in at least that limited sense, it speaks well of like what we did with those videos and the storytelling and like the journey that we took people on. Good. And I'm grateful that people liked the series in that way. Where I would disagree with a lot of people is, one, a lot of people don't realize that I didn't sell the whole thing. Like I sold like 40% of the games that I had, and it was only I think that's a really healthy process that all collectors should go through.
You sold like 40%?
Yeah.
So here's a quick interesting little thing to point out while we're talking about this is Gabo just recently collected his NES set. All of them.
Whole set.
Gabo's selling like 75%.
How dare he?
But he's not.
And not
again,
to you.
and no hate, right? Gabo just was on last podcast. He is getting no hate for it. Isn't that interesting that he's selling more off than you did, but I don't think he's packaging it the way that you are.
Well, he's smart not to make a video saying, selling NES whole collection.
Although people haven't seen it yet, I made a video buying 100 NES collection games from Gabo. And when that video drops, I'm curious if Gabo's going to get the same flag.
I bet people will be pretty supportive, because it's like collector to collector, like,
See that?
you know, maybe a little bit less betrayal there. I don't know. I mean, do you guys should I have done it differently? Do you think that's something that collectors should do? Like,
and you gave away Pokemon Box.
Yeah.
A $1,600 game.
Yeah.
It's like I find myself, because ever since I became, your editor, I'm like, I'm part of the team. I'm part of the ecosystem of the channel. I would I don't get upset by comments much, but I would get more upset when people came at you and your comments. Like, he has so many still. He gave away Pokemon Box. Like, how dare you? And I'm like in my head, I'm like, why am I arguing for him?
Well, do you consider yourself a collector still?
That's an interesting question, because like over my lifetime on YouTube, I've like desired to associate with being a gamer and being a collector less and less, because of it seems like those communities just really don't want me.
But isn't that a sad thing to think about? And even Curtis and I the other day were having this conversation. It's like, it's crazy. I feel like our people, right? The people we love the most are the people who, like, we were talking about, like, even at dinner, it's like, why is it that in the video game scene, like,
People are gatekeeping,
gatekeeping is so heavy.
It's
Yeah.
really
And
prevalent.
so heavy.
We've talked about this several times on the podcast, and it's been discussed a lot. Is like, can you be a collector and a reseller? In my opinion, is absolutely you can.
I think there's a lot that say no.
See, maybe there are, but in my opinion, like if you're collecting things and you're selling things and buying things, or even if you make it turn it into your livelihood, like I have, like I'm still a collector at heart.
Yeah.
I might resell as well. So like but to me, you sound like a collector, like you saved some of your collection. Like, do you game? I assume you're a gamer too, right? Do you play games?
Here's the thing that I don't know if I've ever talked about before, but I would put money on, I probably game twice as much
Yep.
as Riff and Rick combined.
Yep.
So you're a gamer.
And I will say, you're correct.
So
But I mean, these guys are crazy machines and they don't have time for that. But it doesn't make you less of a gamer, I wouldn't say.
No, not at all.
But-
I've beaten 4 NES games.
You
in the
can
past
literally
month.
play the
Like,
same game over and over and still be a gamer. To me.
Yes.
So, well, the thing that I see, and because I like trying to define why does Gabbo not get hate and you get hate, what I interpret it as is, well, first of all, the reason I ask you those questions is in my mind, you are a collector and you are a gamer. Like you're in the community, right? You resell, but maybe the reason you've gotten hate is because people don't realize that you are like a collector and gamer. They look at you as like, you are just, what I think people don't like in the collecting industry, or not industry, market or group,
Community.
right? Community, thank you, is when people come in that are strictly just resellers. And what I've always said is I never understood it, why I got hate when I opened my stores, was I was like, wait, I'm in this community. I love these games. I love Nintendo games. I love collecting. And I found over the years I've gotten less and less hate as I've done things like the expo, and like I'm always like, well, we're giving back to the community, trying to be involved in the community and doing
Yeah.
stuff. When I got the most hate was when I first opened my stores and people were like, they didn't know who I was, and they're like, you're just a reseller coming in to resell our hobby. And people
Not just a
do
reseller, a dirty
Yes.
reseller. So, and I embraced it for a while. Remember, there was a period of time, like 8 years ago, it was myself and a few other video game store owners. We were calling ourselves dirty resellers. There were shirts made and
Yes,
everything.
scumbag.
Yeah, we just started embracing it. We were like, oh shoot, all right, we'll be that if that's what you want us to be.
So interesting is recently the Game Chasers put out a podcast, and they even mentioned us in the podcast, which was nice of them. But in my head, I was like, if you guys would have put this video out years ago, it was basically them being like, we know that we kind of like created this persona, even though they believed it to an extent of like resellers are bad. They kind of catered to that mindset of early YouTube, like, oh, another reseller. But they were saying even in the video that it wasn't even that intense. It was more of a thing you're kind of doing for YouTube. Oh, it's reseller. But really, it was more just a way of YouTube back then. And they were like, I wish we were kind of more open about this. It wasn't actually like we hate resellers.
And
Well, because that was the like mentality back then, and goes back to the retroware days when you guys when you guys were making videos and the team that you were involved with, not just you guys, but YouTube in general, and even when you guys had NES Pursuit,
Yeah,
it was
2012.
all collecting.
Yeah.
And I don't know who you might have been one of the first people that
JHMDF might have been one of the first more popular ones.
yeah, that all of a sudden we're like, oh, there's all these collecting videos, but here's reselling as well.
Which is Scott Squatch, by the way, if you're wondering.
You
who I was
know,
saying.
Okay.
What's kind of weird though is like there's definitely like a relationship between collector and reseller to an extent. At least I think, because all of us who like I don't sell games at all, by the way, but I would think anybody who, not everybody, but most people who do sell games had a love for it at one point. And
Oh, yeah.
they probably were collectors and game players and stuff like that.
You think
So,
like those
as you
larger
mature,
things,
though,
yeah.
you know, like maybe I can make a profit in it. So it's like there's still the love there.
Yeah.
Like I go to Chris's store today, and I'm not gonna. He just had this really big collection of personal stuff that he's not selling.
Yeah, I
Those
was
are
pointing out
his
all my
things.
comics and personal
Yeah.
stuff.
I didn't want to say unfair.
Yeah.
People.
A lot-
but yeah.
And that's what my point is that you can be both, and you are both. I just, maybe it's somehow lost
Caleb,
its root that that's
In
what you
this
are.
room, we accept you.
Yeah, you do.
That's
We
so nice.
do.
Wait, speaking of accepting, Curtis has been trying so hard.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
no,
on.
because like I was only trying to just get out of the fact that like most of these channels that pretty much were inspired by reselling, like TV shows. Everybody would look at American Pickers like, oh, they're reviving. But realistically, they had a storefront selling that stuff that they found.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Game chasers say that was the reason they made what they did, is because they wanted to be in American Pickers.
Yeah, and those guys aren't hated. Jeez, everybody loves those guys.
We
Mike
love
Wolf to this day is the #1 guest I want ever.
I will say they did start off. They weren't selling things technically. They were just collecting for themselves.
Yeah,
but eventually it gets too much.
But another point though, when you listen to them talk, and why I think they are loved is because Frank and Mike both are collectors. They talk about their collection.
Oh yeah, the
and
bikes.
and so that to me is the main difference. Is like they're loved. They're resellers. You're a reseller now. I'm going to say you're a reseller, but you're also a collector.
I've been outed.
You're a reseller. I'm a reseller. But
maybe you
at
just
heart,
didn't
we
talk
are
about
collectors.
your collecting as much during
I think that's
or
what
your
you're
love
missing.
for games.
Here's the thing. Here's where I might differ from a lot of people, and where some people might go from, hey, I kind of like this guy, to actually, you know what, screw Caleb. Is I actually don't believe that the collecting hobby or the gaming hobby is any more virtuous than reselling. So one opinion that I hear a lot is like, you're kind of cool, you're okay, as long as you do have a genuine love for the stuff. And I actually wouldn't necessarily agree. I would say that, like, as a business owner, like, number one, flipping is just as legitimate of a hobby as collecting. Like, I feel a fantastic high when I'm finding like a great game that I've been looking for that's rare, and I feel that great high when I'm finding something great to flip that I can use to, you know, pay off debt or support my family. Like, I think those are both really great things, and I don't think that you don't earn any more brownie points for like having a love for the stuff. Like when I go to the mechanic, I don't ask, are you really passionate about my engine?
That's such a good
I just
statement.
ask, like, are you doing a good job for a good price? And that's what I make my decision based off of. But like when you get into the collectibles world, there's this sense that people have of, I don't want to say entitlement, because I think it comes from a good place of like, you have to earn the right to make money on this stuff. Outside of just being a good business person. And that's where I'd probably, like, I hear people talking about that a lot with me, and I try to reject the urge to justify myself by saying, no, guys, I really do like games.
A gamer.
I really am a collector.
I love
I love gaming. Like, because I just kind of want to be a voice for the flipping community that, like, flipping itself is a cool thing to be into.
I mean, in the reality, too, and it's like we can argue and try to pick reasons why this and that. Your channel is called Phoenix Resale from day one.
Yeah.
Like, it's a resale channel through and through. Like, if you're coming there to justify, like, dude, you're not even a gamer. It's like, I am a resale channel from day one. You know, if the love for games happens to be on there also, great.
And I respect that opinion that you have too. That's the one thing that I think when I started getting hate early on, I was like, how do I curb this? Like, I don't want to be hated like that. And that the one way, it wasn't like it was fake. I mean, I always was a collector and a gamer. It was just to like show like this, I'm one of you guys too. So whether you choose to do that or not, sounds like, you know, you don't have to.
Well, and I think it's an awesome thing that this is a space where almost all the people who are in this business do it because they love it. Like, nobody gets into almost no one gets into video games like just because they think it's the most optimal industry, because it's super competitive, right? Like, it's not something you would just go into if you don't also like kind of feel a little extra happy when you have a shelf full of N64 games that you're selling rather than a shelf full of door hinges.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm definitely in that. I think almost everyone feels that way. And I think that's a really cool thing about the hobby. I wouldn't like disparage someone if they're like, I just really love this as a side hustle. And like, my enjoyment in this is the financial gain that I and my family get. And like, I love the business side of it, and that's where I get my enjoyment. I'm like, that's really cool too.
I agree with that too. Yeah, there is nothing wrong with that. But in the community, there is. It is viewed as
It's not, but there's still that sentiment in the community.
Unfortunately.
Which is, I think it's just, and I don't think it will ever be fixed. I think it's an ever long battle.
I almost think it's...
I don't know though, because if you look at other markets, like, sorry, Curtis,
It's just all day. It's like,
Get away, Curtis. Hold on.
Curtis.
stay in your corner.
If you look at like comic books, right? Like I go back to comic books a lot because it's been around for 100 years. It's one of the longest running collectibles, right? Like in the comic book world, I do not see the kind of hate towards people that sell in comics, and a lot of people do that just as like their financial gain, and it doesn't seem to be as apparent there versus like newer collectibles communities, like especially like the VHS market, or I keep saying market, but community, like don't view that very well. So comics, it's like disappeared over a long span of time. I think eventually with video games, it might go by the wayside too, where like, oh, I'm just a grader of games. I just buy games and I grade them. That's what I do.
And
a lot of people do that with comics, and nobody cares.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the types of social media that they have, you know, especially what's prevalent on YouTube video games. I mean, sure, there's VHS collectors on YouTube and stuff like that, but like video games is just such a big format on YouTube that it's amplified, and you have this mix mash of opinions. That
think of how many Let's Play channels there are versus Let's Read. You know, right? There's a good example.
My last question was going to be, like, do you ever think this stigma of hate towards you will ever change on your channel?
Probably not. Although I will say, like, recently I've been pivoting my content to be, much more business focused. And so I would expect that as all of the collector crowd just organically loses interest, and the niche kind of gets a little bit tighter, right? Like, business people are generally going to like business videos a little bit more. You could see, like, maybe my ratio will be better, but at this point I won't necessarily notice because I'm not reading it anymore. So we'll see, but I don't. I think if I had any advice to fellow creators, like, I wouldn't necessarily tailor what you want to make based on what will get you the least hate. I would just be really careful the sources of feedback that you allow into your mind. Like right now in this room, I'm feeling great about what I do. Like with 4 other flesh and blood dudes, like I'm on top of the world.
Call that the common sense.
I almost even have a feeling if 90% of the people who hate you just sat in a room and were able to sit with you like this, to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I get it.
I think so too.
It's just hard. It's keyboards. It's click, click, click.
Yeah. I never got to tell you this, but
I hate you.
That was me that wrote you that nasty comment.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan. No, you know, I when I first heard about you was through Chris, and I didn't really know much about you, and I watched a couple of videos. I'm like, all right, there was one video that I watched that really kind of was like, this guy's legit. He's genuine, and that was the video. And I don't remember the name of it or whatever. But you were just saying like how you started, and I believe you were selling at like a thrift store or some pawn shop or something like that.
Yeah.
And you weren't doing well. And you were admitting that you were like, that you had failed. You felt like a failure. And it just made you like such, like almost like you're reaching out to people. Like you can get past that kind of stuff and just grow yourself and build to what you become. And I think, you know, that you just have like a really positive message and that, you know, you should be proud of that.
Well, thank you, Lance. That means a lot.
So you went from losing your job and being a failure to being hated on the internet.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at me now, Mom.
But I do have a question for you guys, because all this talking of, again, I'm not a reseller, but I have been thinking of dumping my collection. I probably won't.
How much you want?
I
both of them.
No, you're out. You're out. I raised my hand
This
first.
is like
Let's
a
go.
6-year conversation.
Have you heard of my
ad? but in the thought process of it, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get rid of everything. I'm going to keep the stuff that really means a lot to me, you know, which everybody probably
Of course.
So let's just say you're in that scenario, or maybe you have been in this scenario. What are like the 3 or 5 games that you're like, no way, I'm never going to sell this?
It'd have to be a childhood. Like right now,
Right.
I'm rebuilding my NES set.
Just pick one.
Strictly for the reason of getting my brothers here to play the way we used to.
Just pick one. Not
Thanks for
5.
keeping
I'd
us on
probably go
track,
River City
Curtis.
Ransom.
River City Ransom.
I honestly might say Ribbit King.
Wow.
Bought you that. I mean something.
Sentiment.
Yeah,
So-
that was in the history of the channel just a good gift moment.
That was a good
That
moment.
came at the right time. So that might be it for me.
Awesome.
Dang, you guys are gamers. I just keep Magical Chase
Because it's
most
worth the
expensive.
money.
Let's
Oh
go.
my god. I'm
Not a
disgusted.
gamer.
Did you have yours?
You'll hear from me in your comment section.
Oh, I was just gonna choose Roadkill just because I can never find it. So
Yeah. Was the thing, like, that's why I haven't sold mine, because I haven't been able to decide what I'm going to keep. I mean, like things like Super Metroid, like I could never.
I would
get
probably
rid of
keep that. Yeah, or
So-
like Symphony of the Night is actually one I
But
would
you know
keep. I
what's
love
funny
that
though
game.
is when I was a kid, I did sell my Super Metroid. And I bought the cart like I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago, and it's only recently like we got it back with the box.
Send me a picture.
So
Yep.
Hey guys, just so you guys know, this is a free little plug for Caleb. Please check out his One-Up app. He does give fair prices. You can put your collection in, and yeah, just know that we love you.
One-up.app.
Oh my gosh, you guys already gave me the free sponsorship in the other episode.
Yeah, but this is gonna be the first one that goes out. So.
I've been using it for NES Pursuit, and I have been very happy with it.
Riff, you have not.
Yes, I have.
Riff texts me like every single week, hey, this is broken. Dude, why is this one? This feature sucks.
Bro, that's what you want. That's what you want.
No, it's actually been super helpful.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate it.
But anyway, when that app comes out, guys, please go and
It's
download
been out.
Is it out?
It's been out.
I know it is on the
So
website.
friend you
I'm on the
are.
website one, but I don't know about the phone app one.
It's on there.
Yeah, it's on there.
One-up.app.
Although to clarify, it's really geared towards video game resellers specifically, not as much collectors. I like to say that because like we're not rolling out a lot of collector features in the next like year or so, and
I'll keep bugging them, don't worry.
I don't want people to hate me more. Okay.
yeah. We're gonna move on to a fun topic. It's gonna be ranking fast food. Let's go. You guys ready for this one? I want to see some controversy.
Caleb,
Yeah.
pick a number between 1 and 10.
3.
1, 2, 3. Oh my god.
We're starting off with the banger. Well, you can start, Caleb, because
Did you pick this topic
wait.
because you knew I have hot takes on the subject?
I do, but I should tell the audience because audio, we pulled up McDonald's. So go ahead. Yes.
That's right, audio listeners.
Yes.
Also, Riff has a little boogie hanging from his nose that he
Will you
hasn't-
lick it for me off?
Yeah, no problem, man.
Is it still
I just
there?
wanted to make sure the audio
Sniff
people
it
know
up,
because I'm an audio guy. But McDonald's, I would say I'm gonna say probably D.
Wow.
Wow, wasn't expecting that.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
I feel like McDonald's is like the most D.
It's like a childhood staple, man.
Lance, go ahead. You're next.
honestly, as a child, I would have ranked it higher, but honestly, recently, E.
Ooh.
Dang.
Christo?
Man. I honestly, McDonald's to me, let me look at what else is up there. I'm going to put McDonald's at A tier. I actually love
A
McDonald's.
tier
Wow.
for
I
fast
love it. And I
food.
almost gave it an
Jeez.
S. I feel like McDonald's is such a classic. It's so good. It's so consistent. I love it. I don't eat it all the time, but when I have it, I'm like, dang, that was good.
All right, Curtis, he said A. Also,
think
your battery's
I
about
think
to
it's
die,
up to a
Curtis.
C.
It
That
says you're-
pulls it up to a C.
No.
Okay.
Hold up.
So that pulls it up to a C. I'll talk while I go. I don't really go to, I've been to all these places 100 times, but I don't go to fast food anymore. So it's been a little bit. But when I do feel like fast food, I'm the kind of guy where I'm like, hey, I don't really like to go very often. So if I'm going to go, I want to get real dirty.
McDonald's.
And I kind of will go to a McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what
Get
I
myself
want.
some chicken nugs.
Dude, nuggets, the
This
fries
coming-
are amazing. The
Nugs with
Coke.
barbecue sauce.
This
Dude,
is
they're-
coming from the guy who just housed an entire sleeve of vanilla Oreos right before
I'm
walking in
not
this door.
fasting this week. I get to enjoy myself. Quit judging me, you judgmental. I'm going to go B. And
For
Chris
the
went
audio
A.
listeners, by the way, Curtis has been desperately fumbling with the computer charger for the last 5 minutes. Just wanted to make
Just
sure
to
you're all.
embarrass him.
I think it's a,
That's
I think it's a C.
Yeah. Literally averages out to a C.
All right, Curtis,
Sweet.
pick us anyone and call it out
Oh,
for the audios.
yeah, baby. You already know. T-Bell. Ooh.
Chris, why don't you start? Taco Bell.
Oh man, this used to be my S tier, but absolutely love Taco Bell. I really do. I'm going to put it back at S. It's S to me.
Wow.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good. I've eaten more Taco Bell than probably any of these other fast food
Now,
chains
is
in
the
my
theory
life.
true? Everyone always makes jokes like, oh, if you eat Taco Bell, you're going to be squirting all night. Do you squirt all night? Or
No.
just Curtis's mom squirts?
Whoa.
We squirt together.
PG thing.
Oh, not the T-Bell Baja Blast.
But don't swear.
Make sure you don't swear on the podcast, Caleb. We're just going to say Curtis's mom squirts.
I mean, we only tell the truth here on this podcast.
Can you do that again,
Solid
please?
slap, dude.
Kayla, whatever your name is, Retro Rick, wannabe. What's your thing?
Just for Chris, I'm going to put it at F.
Do you hate it?
Taco Bell, like, you know what? I'll put it at E because, like, for the price point, it's fine. You know, like it's probably going to be the only thing open at 2 a.m. So, like, it gets a little bit of points for that. But anytime you have another option, you shouldn't eat there.
love it.
I'm not, but the Mexican pizza is what gives it to me some
Let's
hype.
go. You like it?
I
Yeah.
love it.
Love the
That's why I
Mexican
could go there, because
pizza.
the Mexican pizza.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite. That's what I always eat.
I'm going to B because I can have a Mexican pizza anytime.
I'm just going for the world record of like number of people I can piss off today, I guess. But
That is-
no, I've never
that is
liked
the
Taco
whole
Bell.
Phoenix-
I don't like sour cream. I don't really like tomatoes, and boy, their meat is nasty.
Their meat
and
is
I don't
pretty
like
nasty.
cheese, so I'm not a Taco Bell
Something
guy.
about the Mexican pizzas, though, are
And they
so...
discontinued
No,
it
I
for a
love
while,
the
too.
double
I know, and
decker.
I
They're
was-
like, it's offensive. And
Have
Ricky's
you
people were like,
heard-
no, it's not.
Have you heard of Italian pizzas?
No. Are you making that up? Go ahead, Lance.
the sarcasm.
What is that?
Why in the world would you eat a Mexican pizza when there are regular pizzas to eat?
Why in the world would you sell your GameCube collection when you said you were a collector? Go ahead, Lance.
I'm gonna have to go with A.
Ooh.
I probably eat at Taco Bell probably the most out of all this.
Wait a
But
second.
I'm,
Did you bump it down not at all when I said my thing?
No,
Curtis?
I'm doing the math, so that it literally goes to a B.
He's doing the
It
actual
averages
math on
out
his
to a
phone.
3 for you.
But
Holy
I'm a
cow.
fan of the Taco Bell
More math
breakfast.
that I've done in the history of my business.
All right, this
We're
one's
not doing well.
I love this one. Let's do it. In and out, baby.
I want Caleb to start. In and out.
D. Right there
You're
with McDonald's. Like
Dang.
So wrong.
California, you can eat your heart out. Like In-N-Out is just another McDonald's.
Nope.
Like the shoestring fries are flavorless and unexciting, and the burgers are a little bit better. Like I won't complain if someone around me wants to go to In-N-Out. It's a little bit of a nice novelty when I'm on the West Coast, but I'll never pick it.
Right on, dude.
So analytical, novel.
I'm actually pretty glad there's hate comments for you nowadays.
I take it back. They were all right.
Lance, why don't you go next?
I'm gonna go with E. Simply,
Yeah.
simply because I've never eaten there.
Oh, you can't vote then. You can't vote.
Not
Oh,
even
you
worth
gotta
trying.
No,
recuse
we got. I got to minus that one. Nope.
Christopher?
I mean, this is another S tier. We picked like my
Bro.
3 favorites, dude. This is an
This man's
S
about
tier.
to put Burger King in S. I swear.
Wait, it's not.
But it might have just all S's for everyone. I'm like, I
All
love them
those
all.
estate sales in the morning, dude.
Yeah.
You just eat that.
So I will have a little bit more. What's the word? Rulings here, because I worked there for years. My brother worked there. Ricky worked there. It's for sure an A. And I will tell you this, because the quality and the seriousness they take there is unmatched. Like they are extremely strict about their patties, their meat, the timers, the way it's flipped, where it's grown, how it's grown, what the cows eat. They're very serious about quality. So for me, not being a fast food guy, it's like if I'd at least want to pretend that I'm somewhat not trying to kill myself eating fast food, In-N-Out would be my choice.
I'm not a huge fan of their fries, but their
Agreed.
burgers, like a double from there, is unreal.
When
It is so good.
They have a fry machine where you put a potato in, right, and then you pull the knob and it puts the potatoes out. My buddy, while Ricky and I were there, put his hand in, was talking, got distracted, and pulled down the grinder on his hand that slices
Did
all
he
that.
lose all
French
his
fries.
fingers?
Did it come out?
It came out. It went down like halfway through and just.
That'd be awesome if it just like
Blood
auto
everywhere.
dumped into the fryer. It's like his
Yeah, it was
fingers
bad.
are just in the fryer.
I think his name was Paulo.
All right. That one came out to 2.6, so that's pretty good. We're gonna go on to Burger King, guys.
I'm just gonna jump in F.
F.
Worst fast food I've ever had in my life. Lance?
I'm telling you, I bet Chris loves it.
Honestly, I've been eating at Burger King way more than McDonald's lately, so I'm gonna go with B. I love their chicken sandwich. You know, here's the reason why. I'm not a burger guy. I actually really like their chicken sandwich. I
Let's
think,
go.
Bro, they're
the best
tendies.
thing they have.
I think
They're
it's better
tendies.
than freaking Chick-fil-A.
Their chicken sandwiches are the best thing.
That was.
That's controversy. Did anybody hear that?
Did anybody, wait, repeat
Hold
that.
the
Nobody was
phone.
talking
I'm
about
sorry.
Reverse
I
Lance.
had them back to back, and I'm like, this Chick-fil-A thing's not doing it for me.
No.
Anyways,
I don't know if I could go that
I was
far
feeling
with the
bad for
chicken
myself.
sandwich.
Jesus.
I was feeling bad for myself about what I'm going to see in the comments.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you, dude.
That's okay.
Burger King better than Chick-fil-A.
Would you give it a
Jeez.
B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this was actually the first place I ever worked. I used to work at Burger King. So I've tried everything that they have. I don't like their Whoppers. I don't like anything really they have, but their chicken sandwiches, there's something about them that are really, really, really good. And every once in a while, I'll pop in there and get one. But I don't, of all of them, I hardly ever go there. C for me, C, right in the middle.
Once upon a time, I actually asked out a worker at Burger King.
What's his
While
name?
she was working.
Juan. No,
Did she say yes?
no, dude, the weird thing was I got out one of my business cards. I was
You freaking scumbag.
I was an
Was this last
insurance.
week?
Yeah, don't tell my wife. I was an insurance sales intern, and I wrote on the back of it. I crossed out insurance sales, and I wrote chicken tender grill guy, and then put my number on there because that was what I
And
ordered.
she never called you?
She did text me to say she had a boyfriend. I was like, "What is up with that?"
At least it's like, you know.
so-
Just
nice.
ghost me.
Because of that, F tier.
Really?
Please tell me that is going below freaking In and Out.
Yeah, it literally is an F. Like,
Okay.
no joke. That's
No,
Thank goodness.
I gave it a C.
He has the
Yeah,
calculator
yeah,
out.
so you got 4 plus F plus F.
How do you
plus-
have a C and a B and then 2 Fs doesn't bring it to an F? What
Do
math is
right
that?
now. Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't divide it by 4.
Ooh.
Oh, either way, it's an F tier. But it's like right here.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Chris called me out. Let's do what they say, Waterburger, but it's Whataburger.
Whataburger. I can start. So I tried it. I've tried it 3 times in my life because people tell me. First time I went, meh, pretty bad. Second time I went, okay. Last time I went, horrible garb.
Yeah, it's
the
like-
last time I went, it's absolutely an F.
Is this the one that's really expensive? Is it like a $20
No,
burger?
it's cheaper. That's Five Guys.
No.
It's like McDonald's if you knew every
Five Guys
employee
is
was
expensive.
smoking crack. That's what I feel like a Whataburger is. Sorry if you work there, anybody.
It's like McDonald's, but if someone already chewed it for you.
Dude,
That's
I
actually
said the
accurate.
same thing about the McDonald's thing, and someone goes, "It does not taste similar to McDonald's." It definitely does.
Yeah.
That's an F for me.
I wasn't even gonna move it.
I
even
don't
if you
think
guys
I've ever
wanted
had it. I'm going to have to pass on this one.
That's okay. You're not.
it. Good.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm the same.
I haven't.
Sweet. Let's keep it on
We're
the
gonna
bottom.
get so much hate for
I
that.
love that.
People love it.
People love
yeah,
Whataburger.
it's mostly like the South. The South loves it.
No,
Like, do
don't
they-
put that on us. Texas.
You're
Texas
Kentucky.
loves it.
Yeah.
Are there Whataburgers out here? I don't think I've
No.
ever seen one. Oh,
They
they're
wouldn't
not.
survive out
Arizona?
here.
That's
They
what
wouldn't
I've
make it
never
out here. I'm telling you right now, they wouldn't.
All right, we're gonna move on to equality.
Chick-fil-A.
Amen.
Jesus' burgers.
Jesus.
Jesus' food.
This is burger.
I watched Papa Meat recently. Went and did every chicken sandwich, and he was having some fun talk about Chick-fil-A.
Man, you're on the deep YouTube cuts right now.
Deep YouTube. All right, what you got, Caleb? Chick-fil-A.
That's an S tier, and it's not close.
I am also going to go S with you for Chick-fil-A.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
It's pretty darn good. I'll go A though. I only get their chicken tenders there. They are good.
They had a good
But-
chicken shake. Wow. Peppermint shake during the
All
holidays.
their
that-
shakes are so good.
I
Their
can-
service is so good. The speed is good. The consistency is good. Oh my gosh, they have the best chicken sandwiches. Their fries are amazing. The Chick-fil-a sauce is great.
I'm
You're
not a
really
huge fan.
going A?
Yeah, because I'm just every time I go there, I'm like, what am I going to get? And it's just chicken tenders, chicken tenders, chicken tenders. I
That's
don't
all
know.
they
There's like
sell.
no diversity of like.
No diversity
menu.
in and out.
True.
Burger, fries, and a drink.
I think I gave In and Out an A. No, I did give it an F.
When I worked at In-N-Out, there was this one guy named Brian. When anytime people would take a long time, he'd be like, "Take your time. It's a big menu. There's 3 things you can order. Pick one."
That is true.
I was like, "Oh,
All right, Lance, it's up to you to bring it down.
All right, I'm going to.
uh-oh."
All right, and let me tell you why. So I'm going to go B. I would give it a C plus if I could, but I'm not going to. So the reason is they're chicken tenders. They're, I think, what do you get, like 2 when you order that? It's
expensive.
Like, yeah, and they're like the price. The fries are really good. The Chick-fil-A sauce is really good. Their shakes are really good. But I'm going there for a chicken sandwich, and a chicken sandwich gives me heartburn. Even the
Dang.
non-spicy one.
Blame it on
All
being
right.
old.
Well, hey, yeah,
Yes,
your body has bad opinions.
Yes. Remember what I said about you? I thought you were genuine.
Hey, at least he's honest.
I genuinely hate
You're already talking, Lance. Why didn't you go with Jack in the Box?
I can't vote on that one.
Never been?
What?
Never been to a Jack in the Box.
Wow.
It's not-
You must have
it's
not
an
had
East
any
Coast
hard
thing.
nights.
Wow.
It's not on the East Coast.
I'll go.
There's none on the East Coast.
Not in
D.
Connecticut, at least.
I used to go for the tacos when I was like in high school during skate sessions. We would go get tacos because that's like the thing. Like they have good tacos. That's what everybody says. But they're actually kind of gross now that I
They're
get older. It's
gross.
cat food.
Yeah.
Their shakes are good. Their Oreo shakes are good. Ooh, I need to get one after this. That sounds really good right now. What do you want? I mean, what do you want? I'm thinking like we're ordering. I'm ready to order. Where do you rate this?
I feel like I've gone there, but I can't remember it, so I'll pass.
Okay.
This is one of my least favorites. It always feels so greasy and
It is.
gross. I feel disgusting after I eat it. I never feel good.
Yeah.
I have had those tacos in the middle of the night that people rave around about it. Like, let's go at 2 a.m. and go get these tacos. Feel gross after eating them. I'm going to give it an F. It's like my least favorite.
There is something to say about going somewhere and feeling gross.
Gross.
Riff, what did
Just
you vote
feel
it?
disgusting.
C.
Dang.
C or D? I put it right.
4,
It's like an E.
7 divided by 3.
3.
I'd say that's E.
And talk about the
I mean, it's
opposite.
kind
There's
of
like
not, but
when I go up to that menu to order from there, there's like 100 things on there to
Yeah.
get.
Oh
kinda
yeah.
like up
It's
here.
like ridiculous.
It's like the opposite of Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too
this is-
much.
garb.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Garb.
We were just talking about that on the way over
Yeah.
because Lance
Go
had
ahead.
never seen it. He's like, "What the heck is that thing?"
Yeah.
Riff never stops talking about it
Love me some
when
wiener.
when he's around me.
Chris, why don't you go ahead?
F. I don't ever eat it. I'm not a huge hot dog guy. They're okay,
F.
but I haven't eaten there in years. Drive by them every day.
Caleb.
I don't
F.
think I've ever had it. These weird chains. What are you,
A.
Californian?
Hey, you like it?
Love it. I grew
Do
up
you?
on it.
Weirdo.
That's what we grew up on. Wiener Schnitzel and they used to have Foster's Freeze, which is like their ice cream.
What do you-
I love a good
an A
crispy
and an
corn
F.
dog with mustard.
Do you get the chili? Do they have a good chili cheese dog there?
Yeah.
What do you?
Their crispy corn dog that's what's good.
Have you
Yeah.
ever eaten Wiener Schnitzel, Lance?
He's never had it.
Oh my gosh, it's only going to be divided by.
So what do we
3.
get? A and F.
It's like 4.5, so it's like a
It's like a C.
Seda, dude. All right.
For the
This
audio
is-
listeners, Riff is slowly slipping his hand into his pants.
No undies, dude. No undies.
Never undies.
KFC, guys.
Ooh, Kentucky over here. You're from
Oh
Kentucky.
yeah, this is your home.
Yeah, I
Chain.
sure am, and I think Mr. Sanders will be disappointed that I put him in E.
Really?
Yeah, like what? Why would you ever go there if there's a Chick-fil-A?
I used to love their coleslaw.
Their coleslaw is awesome.
Did you don't like their
is
tendies, dude?
coleslaw enough
Yeah,
to
because you
redeem
get
an
more
entire
chicken tendies
chain?
than
Like
No.
it's just like
They have some of the best tendies.
the mashed potatoes are not good. Like the
mashed potatoes are
the
awesome.
bone-in chicken is so like dirt. It is not car food, and that's
Yeah.
the point of a drive-through.
You don't like their biscuits?
I don't go there enough to have their like. Why would you go there?
All right. So what is it? An F? for
I
you?
get real ornery around fast food for some. Like I get real pretentious. I see why people hate me.
Yeah, so do I.
I kind of grew up on KFC when I was younger. I remember my dad going out and bringing home buckets of chicken, and my mom loved the coleslaw, and the potatoes to me are awesome with the gravy, even though
What
they're
a
like
fun
fake as
concept
can
too.
be.
Buckets of chicken. Like,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know that they're powdered mashies, dude.
But when I was a kid, I remember eating it, and I remember it being like, "This is awesome." And now when I go there, and I don't go there very often, like their chicken has just like it's like I feel like I'm eating some like
powdery.
mangy like thing that was like was this even a chicken? It has like no meat on it, you know? And
Pheasant.
Yeah, it's like a pheasant almost. So I don't eat there very often anymore, but just because of my childhood memories of it, I'll give it a C. I'll put it right in the middle.
And I'm gonna go C also for literally the exact same reasons. Like I grew up having it, loved the coleslaw, loved the biscuits. Recently went and it was like pretty good, but more of times
Caleb, what
past.
did you rank it?
I feel pretty gross after
Yeah,
eating.
E. I said E, but I'm fine with F.
I feel kind of gross after eating KFC too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so greasy.
Lancelot?
I'm actually going to go B on this one. I
B.
eat there probably more than I probably would like to because my son loves chicken
oh,
tenders.
there you go.
But, you know, like as you're saying, like the mashed potatoes, they are crap.
So I guess
But they're good.
But they
They're
are
good.
like, it is kind of like that childhood kind of memory. Like it's like you know it's bad, yet you still like it kind of thing.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I'm kind of the opposite with the actual chicken, where like you get like this breast that is like way too freaking big. Like how much steroids is in this thing?
Or steroids. Yeah, something doesn't seem right
Yeah,
about it. They
it's-
seem like
it's
Lance
just
said
worked up.
breast.
All right, we're gonna move on to Sonic.
The Hedgehog. Sonic, I'll jump in E.
Mid tier.
And my sister worked there back in the days when you would roller skate. She was one of the roller skater girls.
Do they not roller skate anymore?
I don't think so.
It's like a liability thing.
Probably something stupid nowadays.
Talent. They're gonna get hurt. A skill issue that people don't have.
They want to roller skate while on their phone checking TikTok. Go ahead, Lance.
E.
Ooh, okay.
I love it.
Not a fan.
Caleb.
Dang. I would go B.
What?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? The biggest reason is their happy hour is so fun. We had Sonic was one of the only fast food restaurants that we could walk to in high school, and we would go there for happy hour all the time. The big old slushies for like $1 in the summer.
Heard of a fast food having a happy hour?
Yeah, dude, 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Yeah, we would just go walk over there, get a huge
slushies
slushie.
were good.
The slushies are quite good, and they have tots.
Oh.
So those two things alone are enough to put it in B. Everything else I could take or leave.
Christoph?
E. I only like their shakes are pretty good, and I haven't eaten there in years.
You ever had a
That's it.
strawberry slushie there?
I don't think I've ever
They
had
got real
their
strawberries
slushies.
in them.
Really? Not like a jam. It's real strawberries.
It's real
my
strawberries, man.
gosh. They got real strawberries in there. Let's go.
Chris, do you
Where's
like
the beef?
Wendy's?
Do I what?
Do you like Wendy's?
I do.
Do you like Wendy's and nuts at your mouth?
Ah, got him.
Oh, nice. It's been a while.
So
dude.
hoping
Given
you
your
haven't
taste
gotten
in
me.
fast food, I would say the answer is probably yes.
All right, Chris, you're up first, Mr. Wendy's.
I actually like Wendy's a lot. I really do. I haven't had it in a while, but I'd give it an A. When I have had Wendy's, it is plus they have the Frosties, which
Frosties are so good.
unbelievable. Those
They've
are of
nailed that.
all of the milkshakes, the Frosty is the best thing ever. So I'm gonna give it. Their fries are not so good. A for me though.
Follow-up question for you. How do you look like that?
I don't eat any of this stuff anymore. This is all past.
This is all just memory.
Yeah, this is all memory. Once in a while, I'll get Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and that's it. Those are the only two I'll ever eat anymore.
Dang, is this a painful segment for you?
Nah, good memories.
Mine was when we ranked sodas last time. I like legit anxiety.
Yeah.
I like have never felt that way before.
Dude,
Jeez.
you're
I
talking
don't
to the
miss
guy
it
who
that
eats
much.
horseradish sauce for like fun.
Oh yeah, and I have a fellow blue cheese lover here now.
Chris likes anything that's the consistency of cum.
But don't swear, guys. Don't swear on the podcast.
Yo, could have said loogie.
Every time this guy comes on my channel,
Well-
don't. This is the kind of person you literally can't say the word hard or he'll start to giggle.
100%. I'm a child.
He brings the average maturity level of every one of my videos.
Wendy's B. Pretty good. Frosties are A.
Oh, so
that's
good.
the whole reason.
Yeah.
I'll give it a
Frosty.
B too. It's definitely the best of the big three.
Ooh, Wendy's might take the cake.
Yeah, I'm a B as well.
What did I give it? A, B?
We all agree.
We got
Does that
A?
pass Chick-fil-A,
No.
Curtis?
No, I
I think
No,
it's
that's
right
below.
at B plus,
Two
A
and a
minus.
half. So one
Oof. I was going to get a little worried.
there. Dang, that was pretty good. I love their spicy.
Last
chicken.
one.
Carl's, dude.
Carl's Jr., otherwise known as Hardee's.
I don't know. I think I've had it like twice and forgot it both times. So D, I guess.
Okay.
D.
I used to love them. Bacon Western cheeseburger I used to think was like the greatest thing on earth. And then recently, Ricky and I went like 3 times and we just didn't enjoy it ever. It was always soft and mushy. So, D. D as well. Lancelot?
I'm gonna go F.
Oh, jeez.
I look at it and I'm just like, too much. No, just
Their shakes are
not
good.
a-
They
not
scoop.
appetizing.
They scoop their shakes though with their like an actual hand
Out of
scoop.
an ice cream? Yeah, really? I didn't
Nice.
know that. Their shakes are good.
Yeah.
The other thing that they have that is really good, and I used to get it all the time when I would have like a bunch of kids at the house, is they have like a 30-piece chicken tender thing you can get.
30?
30-piece. And it was like, I think it was like $50 for like 30 of them. And they're like full-size tendies.
Wait,
And-
$50.
yeah.
That's not a good deal.
For 30 tenders?
Yeah, no.
tenders, not nuggets.
That's like
No,
how much
full-size
how much a
tenders.
tender is that?
I mean,
Like $1.25 a
$1.50.
tender?
That's not
something like that?
bad.
It's
It
pretty
sounds
good.
like a lot.
Not,
Sounds
not
like a
chicken
lot.
McNugget tenders,
$1.50
like
per big
full-size
tendy?
tenders. And
Never had
their
that.
tenders there are really, really good, actually. So I'm going to give it a C because I do like that.
Before we close out, so everyone isn't pissed at us, like, can we do a rapid fire round of all the tragic omissions that we didn't have on the list?
Like who?
Like Panda Express.
See,
Garbage.
that I don't count. I count like
It's not
actual.
bad. It's anything with a drive-through.
We don't have them with drive-throughs out here.
I don't
You don't have
Those are
any
all
pandas with
in
drive-throughs?
No.
Subways?
That, nope.
No.
You gotta walk.
You
your
really
butt in,
don't?
dude.
No.
Okay, I
In
guess we can
California,
pass
we try
on
to stay in
those.
shape.
What about what's that like?
Miserable.
good things.
Miserable.
I'm still trying.
Yeah, you are miserable
What
about
about
it.
Dunkin'
you really
Donuts?
are.
Dunkin' Donuts up there in fast food? Or is that just
then you have to
coffee?
kind of go into coffee.
I
wouldn't
wanna
See, you
Del
could have said
Taco?
Chipotle, all this stuff.
No, that's not a drive-through. But what about Culver's?
The crap is
I
cold.
don't even know what that is.
Dude?
You guys all don't know about this. Must be a big Midwestern thing.
Heard
Yeah.
of it, but I don't know.
I mean, I'm more of like a Del Taco guy. Like, I'll get
Oh,
like
Del
4
Taco didn't make the list.
solid.
Culver's would be above Wendy's for your information. They're like sort of smashed burgers, like good old
Oh, yeah.
Midwestern, like greasy but thick fries, appropriately thick. And then what was the other one? I guess Five Guys you couldn't really, because you have to
pretty
go in.
fast.
It's like gourmet, man, with the prices they have. So,
What
yeah,
was
guys.
Curtis?
So,
What was number one? What was the last?
so number 1 was Chick-fil-A, and the worst one was Whataburger.
We're gonna get hate for
Hate
that. We have a
so
lot of Southerners that watch
Thinking
us.
bad.
Stop
dude.
saying Southerners. It's just Texans. You know what we have in the actual South? I'm not going to say the actual South. You know what we have in the Eastern South?
What?
Canes.
Oh, we have Canes out
we
here.
have
Give
Canes.
me some freaking Canes
I'm not that
every
big
day
on
of the week.
Canes.
Don't say
Me
that.
neither.
not.
I'm not
Don't-
either. People
are you-
love it though.
All the kids like it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Kids love it. Teenagers like it. It's a little. The breads are always a little mushy. I don't know why I said it like that. A little.
On
softy.
another note, if anybody is an editor, I am looking to hire.
You wish. You wish. Wait, before you go to the next one, just go ahead and lead it in. I'm turning on the air. Keep going.
We let the internet ask Phoenix Resale questions.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right.
Caleb, we brought we took some screenshots of what people think of you. And there's some good. There's some. I honestly tried not to be like super biased and being like, oh, let's. I guess my biggest thing when we wanted to bring you on, I didn't want it to be like the low hanging fruit of like, let's only be like everyone hates you. So I was like, there's got to be some. Well, hopefully we put some good comments
No,
in there too.
I didn't read through them, so we'll see.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so this was like a community post.
Kind of community post.
This is
We
the
just-
sentiments of the people,
Yeah,
the viewers.
let you kind of respond to the viewers per se through our channel. I feel like people might have their guard a little bit more down when it's coming to our channel to talk to you.
Okay.
So why don't you pull up a comment, Curtis, and you can go ahead and read it first, Caleb, and then give us your.
Okay, I'm ready.
Looks like we left their names too, so go for it.
Yeah, but they will-
Alrighty. California Livin' says, ask him why he's a scumbag reseller in Gabbo's voice. Ask him how he ignores all the haters in the comments. Can't believe how much people hate on him for the hustle. Well, appreciate the vote of confidence, California. The answer is every other week or so, I just cry myself to sleep and just rock back and forth in the fecal position, as Michael Scott would
Just
say.
in poop. Just rolling yourself in the fecal
You guys haven't
position.
heard that one? That wasn't original.
Real talk to ignore. You did say recently you deleted the YouTube Studio app, which is very brave of you as a YouTuber.
I don't know if it's brave, but it's definitely strategic. So for anyone who doesn't know, that's like the app that makes it easiest to see your most recent video's performance and also to doom scroll your comments. And I found myself doing that a lot because, you know, of course, I'm a narcissist being a YouTuber and I like reading what people say about me. And but the thing is, like, once your channel has grown a lot and you realize your ratio is like 50-50 positive to negative, it's hard to really do much comment reading and not start to feel worse about yourself. So I was like, both checking my previous videos' performances and reading comments makes me feel worse. I probably just should do less of this. And since deleting it a couple months ago, I definitely feel better about the work that I'm putting out there for sure. So on a practical level, I guess that's how. On a psychological level, I don't think it's really possible. Like, I think psychologically we're wired to deeply internalize negative things, right? We're wired to detect threats. So if there is a way to like read 50% positive and negative comments and not feel worse, I don't know it is the answer. What about you guys? I mean, what's your ratio on your channel, would you say?
I would say 10% would probably be
that's pretty good
negative
for your
comments.
channel size.
Yeah, it is pretty good, and admittedly so. I feel like we've been very blessed with the type of community that follows us. But yeah, I'd say 10%. So I don't really hate comments. Never bother me. They never. I've never gotten to that point. I know Chris said in one of the earlier podcasts that, like, you know, some sit with him. I've never really been one that kind of lets them linger onto me.
Do you read comments a lot?
Not really. Even when I do, I know, and I don't know if this is good or bad, or if people might like this or not like it, but even if I detect a comment as bad, like in the initial first few sentences, I just kind of skip. I go to the next one. But that's also something I do in real life, which, you know, maybe a whole different conversation, which kind of like is kind of a bad thing sometimes. Like if I know something really bad is going on, like let's say even like something bad is happening with my cousin, I'll be like, get into the conversation and like, well, here's what happened today and here's why he's in trouble with the law. And I'm just like, yep, I'm out. Like I just kind of like, I'd rather not really know. So I enjoy my day with my kids. Might be a bad thing, but that's I kind of put on the blinders, literally.
Right.
And I would say, like, I don't have a YouTube channel like you guys do, so I'm not getting the comments other than through the podcast.
Which people do hate you on there.
They probably do. But as a business owner with a storefront, I have reviews to deal with. Reviews. And like when we were talking before about like I was like, well, maybe you could do this to maybe so you don't get so much hate. As a business owner, it is your number one job to try to not get negative reviews. And so I have, over the years, I have to read those comments. They're literally emailed to me and I have to read everyone. And I get these email notifications and it goes like, John has reviewed your store. And every time I go to click it, I go, please don't let it be a 1-star. Just please. Yeah. I don't like if whatever's going on in my life. Like every single time I go, please, and then I'm like 5-star. Yes, thank God. Then you literally in my head, and then but I have to read the 1-stars.
And you've even let people go.
I've had to let people go because of negative reviews because it is that critical to a business. Yeah. Maybe I don't know if it is that critical to a YouTube. You guys are kind of like YouTube as a business, so I don't know if it's. But you can't get reviews. I guess the comments are your reviews. But to
this like bar doesn't really hold any value anymore.
To a business like as a storefront, I do everything in my power to not get 1-star reviews because we all know when you go online and you look and you go, oh, 3 stars on this business, that sucks. I don't want to go there. So it costs me money. So from a financial position, like I cannot get 1-star reviews.
Dude, I'll stop leaving them on there.
I know.
I just keep making all accounts, dude.
Hate comments and 1-stars.
So have you ever gotten something like that where it was like really negative and you second guess yourself and you maybe changed and you're like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have done this. Like where it's been the opposite. Like you got to review, you change something.
It's weird. I went to the bathroom in Retro Games Plus and there was cameras in the restroom.
What was
Chris
the question?
didn't let me steal the Pokemon
so
cards.
You ever change something in your business because of a negative review, and you probably shouldn't have made that change because it was that, maybe you shouldn't have listened
There's
to that
things that I wish I've had to do, like let employees go because of 1-star reviews. Is there things I've changed? I don't know if there's anything I've changed. Yeah, there's things sometimes you're forced to do. I can't think of one off the top of my head that I'm like, I can't think of what it would be. But yeah, the 1-star, the reviews are tough.
Caleb, why don't you read the next comment? I can already see you starting to read over there.
Alrighty, Speed Waynut says,
cool name.
He said nut. Speedway Nut says, you need to bring up misleading fans with the GameCube Gambit. We all went on a long journey, multiple hours following a series and watching Caleb get his epic GameCube collection. Then suddenly, right at the end, it was like, ha ha ha, got yar. I was never keeping most of these. That's not what we thought, dude. So, Speedy, very similar to what we said earlier, my first reaction is, oh, no, screw you. But then my second, more mature reaction is, I'm really glad that you liked it enough to be offended that I sold that collection.
Not all of it, 40%.
Yeah, the only little bit of defensiveness I still have is it wasn't most of it. And I would say even if it was most of it, like, I don't think that makes you any less of a collector. It doesn't cheapen the experience of getting something that eventually you sell it. I think that's actually a really healthy thing to go through every once in a while, is to assess and look at your collection and say, hey, how much of this really still brings me joy? And how much do I want to pass on to someone else's collection? I really like the idea of having a more curated lot. Now, is there something to be said for, like, maybe I should have waited longer and so people would have felt less betrayed? I guess you could say I don't really believe that. Like, I think the end of a challenge is a great time to do that. But nonetheless, I really do appreciate you watching, and hope that you've found it in your heart to enjoy some of the collecting that I've done since then. But hopefully not liked it too much, because I'm not making that many more videos like that.
It was Those great because when I was like selling stuff on eBay, like that was mostly my GameCube collection. All of a sudden, all the prices shot up, and I was like, "This is amazing."
There was definitely a lot of love for GameCube in the collecting world during that series. Yeah, and I mean a lot. Like I noticed it.
It was going quick at conventions and stuff.
I think you had a little bit of market manipulation going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Could be. Well, that will be really good news for my 18 copies of Pokemon box I've had in the closet this whole time.
Don't believe a word this man says. What's next, Caleb? Curtis.
Whoa, what?
What's going on, Inception, dude?
Inception. Here we go.
All right. Baxley Kid 2 says a lot of people have asked questions about the negativity he's received in his. Man, everybody's talking about the hate I'm getting.
No, but read what he says. Go on.
Okay. In the comment section, but I'm wondering if Caleb has ever dealt with any sort of real life confrontation. Due to his channel, whether it's in store, convention, etc., and how he handled it. This is a spicy one. I kind of want to hear you guys' answers to this too. I've only had really only two things came to mind for like real flesh and blood people. The first one was, I won't say any names because I don't like to, but I had an experience. I was pretty young. This was the second convention I had ever gone to that I was ever filming at. And there was a guy, another vendor, who also had a channel that I got introduced to at like an after party at this restaurant. And when my friend introduced me to him, he didn't look at me at all and just told my friend, actually, he treated my local store like crap. And then just walked out the door. And I because at that point I was kind of used to getting hate comments, but I never in person. It like hit me and I didn't sleep well for the next couple nights. I was like, what is going on? So the last day of the con, I went up to him and was like, dude, this hasn't sat well with me. Like, can you tell me what I did? Because I need to go apologize to this guy if I did something to him that was so wrong that he's been telling people about it and hating on me in real life.
I remember.
I was kind of distraught and the guy wouldn't tell me. I pushed and he was like, it's not my place. That's between you and him. I was standing
right there.
Yeah.
When that took place.
Yeah, it was awkward.
It was very awkward because I thought the guy was joking.
Yeah.
Because it was one of those situations where we're standing there outside of a eatery, and the way he said it, I'm like, oh no, this guy screws over businesses or something. And I just remember being
reseller.
He's for sure joking. I literally thought that because he's kind of a fun, goofier guy sometimes. And when he walked away, I was like, holy cow, he's flaming mad right now at Caleb.
Yeah. Yeah, so that felt bad. And so it did not sit well with me. And because of it, a couple weeks later, I actually made the trip to the video game store that I knew he had to be talking about. Just based on the area. Because I don't go to many stores that are in that location. I drove 3 hours to it and talked to the store owner because I was like, I've got to make this right. I've really screwed up. I was first starting to grow online. I was like, I need to figure this out because it means a lot. You can't please everyone online, right? I knew that at that point. You can't fix every hate comment, but it means a lot to me, and it always has, that people in the industry, other video game flippers, speak well of me. I want to treat people in a way, especially on camera, that they're happy to do business with me again. So I went there and I was like, dude, I heard that I really screwed up. Was talking to this guy. I just wanted to come and say I'm sorry and just ask you what it was so that I can make it right. He wouldn't tell me. The store owner wouldn't tell. He was like, it's water under the bridge. I really don't want to talk about it. And I couldn't get it out of him, and I had to just leave. So I was just like, well, hey, I wish you the best, and best of luck with the store.
What do you think it was?
It might have been that I might have not shouted out the store in the video. It might have been that because it was my first time dealing with him. I don't know if I wasn't upfront enough about the fact that I was flipping stuff. I don't know if it was that
But also the reality is too in a store is even when I go buy stuff from stores where I'm flipping, I don't have to go tell them. They're like, hey, just so you know, I'm flipping this later. Yeah, and
I would think that as a store owner, for the most part, we kind of get it. We kind of get the game, and if someone, anytime a reseller's bought something from me, number one, they always feel very comfortable to be honest about that they're flipping it. But even if they weren't, I'd be like, get your money. Good for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's not, and the awkward thing is I see them at conventions still, and they don't really look at me in the eyes, and
it's just so interesting, and it says so much about your character though, because you were willing to drive 3 hours to basically go make it right, which most people wouldn't even do, and then the person doesn't even have the nuts to tell you what you did wrong in the first place.
Yeah, and
I
I
think
don't
that
know,
says
maybe
a lot more about your character.
And maybe it was an off day for him. I want to assume the best in people, and like, you know, maybe he'll see this and be like, yeah, I feel icky about that too, and maybe we'll talk about it. That would be great. Like, I try not to hold grudges, but that was, especially since I was so young and like first growing on YouTube, I was just like, oh man, is this what this is like? The only other thing that comes to mind for me is, this was not an in-person thing, but actually just this last year, there was a video game store that I had done business with in the past that like just posted like a really nasty video about me. That felt different than all the other hater videos that are out there, because like I knew these dudes and
That
like
hurts more.
Yeah,
I know what you're speaking
and I was
of,
like,
too.
I thought we were cool. Like, we've done business together. Where did this come from? We don't like text or anything, so I don't know. It just,
I know who you're talking about. I really like them.
yeah.
So I will say too.
Was that weird for you to see too?
I will say that I've, and again, we're not going to say names because I'm not here to like belittle someone,
Yeah.
their business or whatever. But I just remember, the only credit I will give them is he's told me before, and I've told you, like, he's told me like, hey, I kind of struggle with Phoenix Resale. I know you're his editor and you're his homie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, like I promise you, Caleb's like a really good guy. Like I know maybe, you guys don't see eye to eye on certain things, but again, yeah, when that video came out, I was definitely like, oh man, that one kind of was a little bit more rough than I was expecting, even though I still, from my relationship with him, like he's always been well to me, always super cool with us, super nice guy. So, I mean, it did. And he knows that too, even he might be watching.
Well, and the awkward thing is like, I might see him like at a convention soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not gonna like, what do you do? I don't know. I still wish them the best.
I don't know, but if you're offering 70%, come on over to my house. I got a lot of good things for you. I'm getting tired of getting waxed.
No kidding. The only thing I would say is like, and on the off chance that anyone's listening and is a supporter of mine and like hears this and knows who I'm talking about, don't spread any kind of hate in
Please
retaliation.
don't.
That is
Please
the-
don't.
Like I have a rule for myself that I call the elevator rule, which is when I'm thinking about saying something about someone or a business online publicly, I ask myself, okay, if I saw that person and I had to ride the elevator with them at a convention or something, would I feel awkward about that?
That's smart.
And it stops me a lot because sometimes I'll walk out of game stores and be like, dude, they were so overpriced. I cannot believe. Did you see that double dash for $200 they had in there? Is what I want to say.
You went to Retro Games Plus?
But instead,
I'm just kidding.
but I realized if I saw that store owner and I had to ride the elevator, I would feel awkward about that. So instead, I just say, they had a great selection.
Yeah, no, I get that. And both those guys, I know who you're talking about with both of them. I genuinely like both of those guys and still talk to both of them. They're still great guys that I personally deal with. So hopefully you guys, in the future.
Yeah. Have you guys had any weird like fan interactions?
I had one that came up recently at my shop. I more and more, because of the expos and doing a lot of other online stuff and stuff, I'm very rarely up front at my stores now. I'm in and out of my stores, but very rarely am I actually like working at the front, checking people in and out. And it was like maybe a couple weeks ago, and I just happened to be like up helping one of my employees. This guy came in, he had bought a Guitar Hero Xbox 360 guitar, and it didn't work. And we told him like we only do store credit. We have store credit signs everywhere, and he asked for cashback. And I let Jacob handle it. He was my employee, and we worked with this guy for a good hour. Like he wanted some other questions. We looked for games for him. I took a game out of like one of our personal games that we had to help him out. I had a hard drive that there was a lot of stuff above and beyond that we did, right? And I thought everything was all good. He like left with a smile on his face. He was like, hey, thanks. There was thank you. Sorry about that with the guitar and everything. And I thought this problem was solved. Literally 5 minutes later, after like mutual, like everything's good, I get the ping on my phone and I look and it was 1 star. And I was like, what the heck? And I was baffled by it because I was like, I felt like we went above and beyond with customer service to like do everything we could to make everything right with this customer. And I know that the guitar was broken. I understand that, but like we don't do store credit. We don't do cash refunds for a variety of reasons. And he just like, I mean, he hammered us too. He was like, it was just bad. It was not a good review, right? And I just replied back to it because, as a business owner, you can reply back. And I just said, like, I felt like we went above and beyond to, like, help you. I'm sorry the guitar didn't work. But it was just the shock of, like, literally, like, oh, thanks. And him waving goodbye, like, hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And then went outside and was like, 1 star. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, I don't know. I was baffled by the fact that we tried our best and it still wasn't enough. And it wasn't like a bad fit, yelling at each other kind of altercation, but it was just, I was baffled by it.
Still stings.
Yeah, it was stung. And that one bothered me for a couple days. I'm like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Give
know.
me my money back, dude.
Curtis again.
Just keep plastering it, dude.
Curtis again.
I've never had anything like in person, like real confrontation. Just things here and there. I would say more like awkwardness around certain people at like conventions or something, but never anything where it was like, sat with me at night or anything like that.
You're just too dang wholesome.
I can pretend pretty well.
Got one of those faces. The Rogaine's working well.
Thank you.
The
Thanks to you.
Rogaine's working well.
Hey, 3 of the guys in this room use Rogaine on their facial hair.
Are you serious?
Ding,
I've done
ding,
it.
ding.
Dang, yours, but your guys is thicker. I need to put more on. Look at, I'm still patchy over here.
Twice a day for 2 years.
Oh, yours
Twice
is
a day for a little
perfect.
over a year. Ever since you told me.
I've been putting it on my nuts and it works great.
Oh, Ricky always says he wants Rogan because he has so much hair.
All right, got this next one. How about this one, Caleb?
All right, Adam. How much has your 1UP app cost to finally get up and running?
How much you in?
What he's talking about is a flipping software. We talked about it earlier. For video game resellers that initially, when I made a video about like the final push to get this thing out, the total cost was about $140K.
Wow.
And that was back in February. And at this point, I would say I've probably put in another 10 to 15 just in maintenance and bug fixes and minor feature improvements. And am currently saving up for version 2, which will be a lot more features and a lot more expensive, which is the reason that 1UP so far is not quite profitable. But, we're getting there. That's another way that I guess I'm trying to be like really upfront and honest about, like, even though a lot of people, I made a good number of videos on my second channel about making an app, and so many people were like, dude, this is so boring, Riff included. As you put me in F, the second channel in F on your YouTube tier list, which I'm still butthurt about.
You deserve it.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, a lot of people hated those videos, but it was a version of just trying to be radically honest about, like, dude, this is something I've never done before, and it's really hard, and I don't know if it's going to work out. So,
and it's interesting because I feel like you're in one of those positions that's going to be like, again, with the people that get mad at you and hate you for every reason under the sun, I could see people being like, oh, now you're telling us you're not the sob story of I'm not profitable. I've seen comments like that from people.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, where people are just, oh, sorry, I know you don't look at your comments anymore.
Well,
sorry, man.
I think it was Margaret Thatcher that said, if I walked on water, my critics would say it's because I can't swim.
Oh,
I think about that a lot.
And we're going to move on to the next one. It's going to be, what percentage of your revenue does YouTube generate for your business? And what is the average cost to produce a video?
Jonathan, uh-oh. Riff salary reveal. It's time.
$4 each video.
He's my unpaid intern.
Every video is different.
I don't know. Do you want me to give a range of what a video costs, like with you and my thumbnail designer? Because I have not only a top-of-the-line editor now, but I also have, I think, one of the world's best thumbnail designers.
She's
and
great.
neither of them are cheap. So my average cost per video at this point is probably, it's over $1,000. And in ad revenue, it probably only makes like, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000. So like last month, I think I profited a few $1,000 on the channel.
Total.
Yeah.
After paying out.
Which like is not nothing. That, it helps, but given all the expenses that the business now has, it is not the most substantial form of revenue, thankfully. A lot of people will assume, not just, honestly, less with me than other YouTube resellers, that YouTube is the primary revenue driver, and I'm like making up my fines and I'm just doing stuff for views.
Yep.
That there are much easier ways to make money at this point than doing that.
And you even going back to lessening the amount of videos that you do, though, it's costing you more per video from me. I would say the number is even a little low of what you just said, because now with the business videos, these videos are a lot longer, so they're not
longer, they
as
cost
cheap
more,
as I once was.
Yeah, they don't make as much.
And what it's like as a businessman, like when I'm looking at doing things, and I've been asked, like, hey, you should do make YouTube videos. The one reason I haven't gotten into is I've always said I don't have time for it because my time is money. Like, how much time do you dedicate to a video, and do you factor in the cost of your time with it?
Yeah, I mean, the average week, it's probably like 10 to 12 hours, maybe 10 to 15. This week, it'll be probably a 40-plus hour week of just making videos because I'm doing
hours.
Yeah, it's marathon style.
Oh, yeah, because you're right.
But yeah, the YouTube channel at this point in the business is very much a driver for like just inventory acquisition, which is the biggest way that it is actually profitable. But at any point, if I wanted to get more, because I haven't been doing many sponsorships recently, the channel could become more profitable.
True.
But yeah, it's not the lion's share of the overall revenue.
Totally.
Makes sense. All right, we're going to go on to the next one.
Good old David says, are you passionate enough, or are you passionate about playing video games, or just for profit off others' passion? Something tells me that David would disagree with one of the takes that I shared earlier, because I would say all of the above, and they are all equally valuable, David. You're not better than me because you like games more. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Okay.
But I don't know. Do you guys disagree?
No, I get it. I don't think there's a hierarchy of what is more important within any of this, of like you said earlier, collecting, reselling, modders, whatever, arcade. I don't think there's a hierarchy. But I will say, yes, I definitely see that the retro game community, which I'm very heavily a part of and are literally our people, there is definitely a little bit of a hierarchy system for them.
Yeah. And what did he ask? Am I actually passionate about it?
Gaming.
Playing video games.
Which you said you were.
Yeah, I had a huge Hades kick earlier this year.
That's a great game.
Last year, I became an Elden Lord. Not to flex on
so
you guys.
Good. Elden Ring.
Gosh, such a good
How many
game.
hours did you put into it?
Over 60.
I put 250 into that game.
Oh my gosh, dude.
The heck?
That's
Where
crazy.
did you say that your time
That's why we can't get him to anything. That's why he's not doing anything with SoCal.
No, that was like last year. Me and my son played the heck out of that game.
Wow.
Yeah, early 2023, I actually found what is now my favorite game of
God
all
of War.
time, God of War Ragnarok.
Yep.
Oh
got
my
a great-
gosh,
Oh, I
it's so
gotta
good.
play Ragnarok. That's the PSP one?
PS5.
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 Yeah.
Is it
The
okay?
newest one.
Wait, that's all right.
I was actually, when you guys were doing a segment on villains earlier, I was thinking Odin from that game. It's a very underrated pick because he's not like the biggest thing about him, he's the ultimate deceiver. So he's very charismatic. He's like soft talking and easygoing. He makes you want to like him and then commits genocide on multiple planets.
Reminds me of you, dude. Soft spoken.
I've been playing
deceiver.
the God of War.
I take a lot of cues from him.
from the beginning. They're awesome. God of War 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
God
if
of
you're
War
in the
3 now.
lore, dude, you've got to get... Did you play the 2018?
So wait, is Ragnarok just God of War 4? Is that Ragnarok? Or Ragnarok is after God of War 4?
No, so God of War 2018 on PS4 is like the reboot, the Norse reboot
Yeah.
of the series, where like Kratos is now like
Old?
resettled. He's a
Right.
father.
Yeah, I played that one a little bit.
Okay.
But that's not Ragnarok.
Ragnarok
Was
is the
the
one
follow-up
after
to that.
Oh, I didn't know there was one after that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's apparently
And
like the most
dude-
praised one.
Oh my gosh, the father and son story amidst this like awesome boss battle format, like I couldn't even.
I need to play that, but I do have a PS5, and anything with like father and son stuff always makes me like super.
I bet you'll cry.
For sure.
I
I
cried
cried today
multiple
hearing a
times.
song. And it was like an old country song that came out like how I'll never say I love you enough to your kid. And I was like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
that's me, you know.
I don't even have a kid, and I was bawling.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to Retro World because we have TC Carson coming in
yeah?
August.
Yeah.
Wait, who's
And
that?
He's the voice of Kratos from God of War 1, 2, and 3? 1 and 2.
1, 2, 3. And
1,
then
2,
he also
3.
did the PSP. And then he was also
Yeah,
in
which-
like...
Oh, he was in the
Soul
PSP ones, yeah. Which
Yeah.
playing God of War like 1, 2, and 3, in my opinion, why the game is so good is his voice when Kratos speaks is so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So-
It's weird. It's kind of the complete opposite of the newer actor who plays Kratos because he's more soft spoken, where the original one was like
Shouty.
shouting and
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. But both of them are good in their own way, I think.
All right, I got a question for you, Phoenix. What is it like being an introvert on YouTube?
I kind of brought this up a little bit because that was kind of my topic per se. I guess the reason I wanted I never asked you like, are you an introvert or an extrovert? But I feel like I think we've talked about the hate for you or whatever, the misconceptions about you sometimes, and sometimes I feel like even some of the way you might make people feel a certain way to not like you might be because you're not always trying to make people super comfortable. And my brain was like, is he a little bit of an introvert? Because I know you on and off camera. I edit your videos, so I see you before camera's rolling, when it's rolling. Like, is there something you have to turn on, or is it just you, or are you your pure truest self?
He looks like Count Olaf when he's standing by himself.
Why are you such a prickly person is basically what I'm hearing.
No, not at all.
No, here's the thing. What you're identifying as introversion, I would just say is disagreeableness. Like anyone who just watched that fast food bit, you can kind of see, like, I'm not scared of having conflict with people. Like, I don't.
Yeah, you came in my house, haven't seen my son in a year, and immediately made fun of him twice.
I did. I roasted his haircut, the poor guy.
I'm like, my poor son just went through like a life-altering change. He feels so good about himself, and Caleb walks in, he's like, what's up with your hair, dude?
I was like, whatever you do, man, just don't take me to your barber, please.
Yeah, that's what he said. My son, for news, he shaved his head and bleached his hair. So,
yeah, that's going to be a core memory for him. He'll need some therapy for that. But no, yeah, I'm very comfortable with conflict, and I do, because I value honesty so much. Like, I think I put more out there than some people would be comfortable with. But I'm curious.
Yes.
Why are you so convinced that I'm an introvert? Because I feel like it has roots in an experience that we had together, which I definitely want to correct on public record.
There is no correcting. I am right in this. I don't know if Lance, you heard this story, but a while back, and Caleb will tell his side, and we'll kind of like refresh it for the people who haven't heard in a while. Caleb and I, been friends for a long time, done stuff on YouTube, but never really like spent like real time together. It'd be like me kidnapping you, Lance, and I'm like, hey, you're with me for the next 3 days, me and you, same hotel, driving everywhere. There's no option. And Caleb and I, friends, goofy, laughing, but after like the first couple hours, we're driving in a car together, we start to realize like there are some serious differences between us. And this is not like, I'm not talking like politically or anything. It's, I love to talk and keep conversations moving, and he loves for you not to talk and not enjoy life. Every time I'd be like, there's a lake, look how pretty. He'd be like, I don't care.
Shut up.
You don't have to point out that there's a lake over there.
We went to lunch with him in Arkansas, and like I walked up, I was like, is Caleb all right? He's just like hunched over like a burger, and he's just not saying anything.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk. And we'll let you respond soon.
Yeah, you got it.
When we went to a hotel together, that's when he confronted me.
Oh my gosh.
And
dude.
he told me, hey, dead serious, just so you know, it's okay not to talk once in a while.
I was so livid when I heard you tell this story. That is not what happened.
That is so what happened. And I was sitting there and I'm like, in my head, trying to be respectful of this troll, I'm like, it's okay to enjoy life and talk to me. And in the morning he woke up, and I swear, if you ever watch footage of a sloth on a tree turning their head, he like didn't want to look at me. He didn't want to talk to me. He just slowly rose from the bed and like just 3 minutes of like slowly looking at me like, don't you dare say a word to me right now. That is how I read that.
Riff.
And when we drove home, it was almost awkward because it's after you confronted me.
Almost awkward at this point.
And he's like, you don't need to talk the whole time. So on the way home, which I gracefully drove him 3 hours, I was like purposely not talking to him when I wanted to talk to him.
It was on his way.
All right. Let
Your
Caleb,
side of the story.
I want to hear the other side of this story.
Oh my gosh, I am livid. So first of all,
Here we go.
the drive up. Not awkward at all. Not even a little bit. No conflict. Just a couple of chums having a good time. We get to this hotel, which, by the way, we were at this hotel because I bribed some people to get him into this exclusive YouTube event out of the generosity of my own heart, flipped the bill for the entire hotel room, and invited him. That's the context. Let's just establish that. After a couple days, here's what I need to explain to people.
Such bullcrap.
Here's what I need to explain. What you won't know from just listening to Riff on a podcast is that when I say he can't be quiet, what I mean is that like he'll go into the bathroom in our shared hotel room, and what I hear is Oh, what's that? Oh, the water's wet. Wow. Oh no, that's my button. Don't touch me. He's alone in there.
Sounds like someone enjoying life
You
to
okay?
me.
You okay in there, Caleb? You seem kind of quiet. And this is going on for 48 hours straight. Did not say anything. By the way, when I woke up the next morning, I had recently had a neck injury and I was stretching it. Not even kidding. I passed out at the doctor's office into a door. My neck was injured.
I actually didn't know that.
Well,
I wish I did know
there's
that.
the truth. And what I said to him was not, did you know it's possible to be quiet?
You
What I said,
it's okay to be quiet once in a while.
what I said was, it was actually a question. I asked, would you say that you are uncomfortable with silence?
Who says that?
Maybe it's passive aggressive, but it's not nearly as confrontational as all that, because I wanted to open a dialogue and say, you know what, I'm actually someone that's really recharged by silence. And it's a scarce resource when I'm in your company.
And what was his answer to that?
His answer,
Well, he said he felt awkward the whole time.
yeah, his
after and
answer
didn't know
was,
what to do.
how dare you?
I don't remember my immediate answer at that point. I think it was just like almost maybe like, no, I remember. I don't remember what I said, but I remember my next like moments were so difficult for me because it's my natural habitat to like point things out or like goof off. So
You're
2 seconds after
way-
he told me, I'd be like walking to the bathroom and be like, beat it. No. And then like go to turn on the shower, and be like, hey, like I wanted to say something like, oh wait, it's hot in here, or something. But I was like, I can't talk. So it was just full of me, like probably sounding like I have Tourette's in the other room, like starting to talk and then just immediately shutting myself up.
Oh,
So, anyways, I just wanted to clear the air and say that, boy, next time we are at a exclusive event that I have gotten you into graciously, I'll just go ahead and buy you your own room.
Thank you. I appreciate
All
it.
right, I would love for you to segue yourself into the things that you wanted to address about our podcast, like our hot takes and whatnot.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said
yeah.
you said you
Oh.
a listener. What, you have a phone?
Yeah,
You
he
have
had a phone.
notes?
This is a note.
He says we make a lot of mistakes on our podcast.
I was like, you know what? He's not an introvert. He's all right.
Is it not quiet enough for you, Caleb? Would you like more silence in our podcast?
that last story brought tears to my eyes. You look
Oh,
like you were
I am
tearing up over there
literally
too. I
crying
had
out,
tears
like,
coming down. That
Because
was
I
pretty
know
funny.
how Riff is. He's definitely
I'm
that.
picturing you
I-
in the
it
bathroom.
is funny.
Exactly,
I'm-
going do 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 do.
I'm telling you, building this shed with Riff, he is exactly that.
Ask my kids. I do not like. I don't know how to not like beep or anything, or
I was talking
I
about it
just
with
don't know how.
Lance earlier, and I was saying in a good way. I was like, your energy levels. I don't know how you sustain them. You run like a marathon a day, and it's not like you're like up and down. It's not like you have like a really high point and then you're really low. It is constant.
He's
like,
an Energizer
full rev,
bunny.
and I don't
I
know
used to
how
call
you
that.
maintain it. I
That's
don't
what
know.
my mom used to call me, that the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, I
People
don't-
ask, before I get into ripping you a new one here, people ask me all the time, how does he do it? When I tell them he's got a full-time job, he has his own YouTube channel, he edits for me and another large YouTuber, and has a podcast and now a convention.
hard
They say,
work.
how does he do it? What would you say?
If I like honestly had to place it, I don't even know if I could, because sometimes I try to calculate how I do and I don't even. I think that I allow myself so many different things that it's almost worked itself out to that it benefits me because I don't allow myself to get burnt out in one thing for so long. Like it's like I'll edit for you for 45 minutes, then I'll go run, and then I come back and do Rick's thumbnail. Then I come back and do your thing, and then hang out with my family for 30 minutes. Then I come back and do something for the podcast. And then it's like so many moving parts that I don't allow myself to kind of slow down or get bored of like, oh, dude, I've been editing for 6 hours Caleb's video. It sucks. It's almost more like of me doing so many different things that it works for my ADD that it just allows me to keep going without like that feeling of needing to crash.
I thought you were going to say like
I just-
copious amount of drugs or
No,
something.
and I don't drink like soda. I've had most year clean of soda, and I don't drink coffee. I don't know.
Dude, he literally, when you said, yeah, editing for Caleb for 6 hours, he just blinks like no emotions.
I was just curious for you. Like, does he complain as much to you guys as he does to me about my edits?
For me, it's not complaining. It's more of just like he's really on the ball about like good criticism. Like he's very like inept about how to like communicate that to you, where you're not feeling like, oh, I really did screw up there. He's really like, hey man, maybe you should kind of build off of this. Right?
Even Retro Rick, when I get his raw footage, whenever he's like talking to people like in their game room, he's talking about me forgetting he's like kind of filming. He's like, oh yeah, dude, if I don't do this right for Riff, he's gonna text me while he's editing. Like, what the crap is this? What kind of janky B-roll is this, dude? Like, learn how to film your own videos. So he's like, I have to get it right or else Riff will tell me.
That's interesting because, like, as you were saying that, I was actually thinking to myself, speaking of criticism, I wish you would say more of that stuff to me.
I do tell you about your filming.
It.
Like, I tell you, Spanky, like, I would criticize him heavily when he first started filming. I'd call him freaking out. He'd send me a 4-minute montage of someone talking like this, recording, never moving. And I'm like, what the crap? Now I have 4 minutes. And the typical, just so you know, typical edit for a good video, like a Phoenix Resale video, is about an hour per minute. Is typically what you spend on a video. So when someone gives you an hour of someone just talking and you have to, or 4 minutes of someone talking, that's now 4 hours at to find clips and transitions and things that make it look interesting and movement and B-roll and other YouTube channels that maybe talk about this to splice it and to make it look nice. So that's why you get so critical when you edit.
Do you have a tough time going to sleep at night?
No.
You're able to turn it off?
I wish my wife was in this room. I am going so fast.
And then it just...
And
like
to the moment I go to bed, I'm like laughing, having fun with my wife, you know, doing whatever. I don't know why I just said that like that. And I am just like, good night. I love you. Have a good night. And gone. Out.
Do we have time for one more follow-up question before I do this, Curtis?
I have one for you too, though.
I would rather you go off of your list.
I have a follow-up though before you get into that.
Are you
Daddy
gonna go?
Curtis?
Riff?
It's a selfish question.
Okay.
You got me at how many subscribers? 66,000, I think was the number you said.
Yeah.
66,000. I'm literally asking you not to toot my horn or beat me down. I don't even care. What percentage or perspective do you think I play in the growth of your channel?
That was for the next one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No,
We can cut it and just do it later because I have a follow-up on that too.
Oh, you
so
have
that
one?
can be that can just be another.
Sweet.
Okay, I'm not worried about it.
Okay, so here.
I'm not going to cut it, but yes, just leave that and then move on.
All right, so here are the worst takes on Pixel Plus. I've got 6 of them.
Oh, boy.
And 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are riffs. Although I've got one for you too, Curtis.
I get ripped all the time.
Number 1. Riff says the 90s consoles should have reflected the decade better with more colors.
Yes, I agree.
Have you ever heard of a Funtastic N64?
Okay, yes, I agree with that.
Have you ever heard of a Game Boy Color?
I get it, you freaking bozo the clown. Or actually,
I heard that. I could not believe my ears.
Well, I get what you're saying.
Like
okay,
the 90s is the color console.
I think I made that criticism when we were talking about the Super Nintendo. And the Super Nintendo is a pretty boring looking console.
Yeah.
So in my defense, I get it. You're absolutely right with Fantastic. And NES was 80s, so that doesn't count. Looks like a top loader type thing. But Super Nintendo, I in my brain, for what it's the most perfect video game console of all time. I wish it looked like a freaking Nickelodeon radio.
Green. Yeah. I agreed with you on that. It was in reference to the Super Nintendo specifically.
Yeah. But the rest of the decade, you have to admit.
Yes, I definitely spoke incorrectly.
But the Genesis, too, that's a 90s console and it's just black.
That one ugly as crap.
Yeah.
Just black.
That's true.
Ugly as crap.
All right, so we're 1 for 1 so far. This one's bad.
Oh, no.
This was Rift 2. Mario Odyssey 2 needs to be a significant departure from Odyssey 1, unlike Galaxy 2 and Tears of the Kingdom. You said, I don't want it to be like those sequels. I want it to be something completely new, departed from the original Mario Odyssey on Switch.
I still hold to that.
And I heard that, no, okay, you go ahead.
Can I explain first?
Yeah, you can explain.
Galaxy 1 to Galaxy 2, great games, both great games. I think my more criticism was coming from the recent, because at the time was Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I didn't feel excitement because I just felt like they were announcing DLC. Right, in my brain, like if they would have worded it different, or like Breath of the Wild DLC massive pack, I would have been like, it's the Tears of the Kingdom pack. I would have believed it. right? So sometimes I find struggle and being excited for a new game when I feel like it's just the same continue. Like I think of the Zelda series before, besides Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Everything was so different each release that I felt like it was a new thing.
I heard that and I was like, does this guy realize those are two of the most celebrated sequels in gaming history?
Yeah, I know.
Some of the most heralded examples of keeping everything that was great about the original, but building on it and expanding on it to create a brilliant new game that's somehow better than the original. I was like, literally, you picked those games, Galaxy 2 and Tears of the Kingdom, dude, like two of the best sequels of all time. I couldn't believe it. And also disagree with you on the Mario Odyssey segment. Like, if you're saying you want it to be significantly different than the original, you just want a different game.
I think I want a different graphics pack is what
The graphics were beautiful.
I know they were, but just like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and all, I just want to feel like, whoa, look at this new thing Mario's doing. It's Mario Odyssey 2, but it looks, whoa, that looks crazy.
Okay, well, I convinced you on one. I mean, do you guys, am I crazy?
I love Tears of the Kingdom. I absolutely love it. But
Everyone does.
It is it's one of the best games ever. And it was better than the first, I do think. But it is just a reboot of the same engine, is what it is.
Yes.
It is a reboot.
Sure, but like, does a sequel need a different engine?
No.
Well, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, to be fair, just the whole building mechanic of it, I think
Totally.
made it.
It did feel like a
Vastly.
different game.
That alone is worth
Yeah.
the price of
That
admission.
actually kind of not. I actually didn't finish it because of that. I was getting frustrated with it a little bit.
And it also had that lower thing, and the jumping
Right.
from the sky
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It ran faster. You know, the engine, looked a little bit better, but.
All right, this next one is Curtis.
Yeah.
You ready to jump in?
Oh yeah.
Pokemon is basically all Dragon Ball Z crossover characters.
Did I say that?
I don't think I would have made it up.
I don't know. I mean, I've said some pretty bad takes. Let's be real. I get ripped
I'll
on.
say Curtis probably has a good amount of hot takes that are
Yeah.
horrible.
I get ripped on
He
so
gets
much
ripped in the comments daily.
because half the time I'm like stroking out and I'm like thinking of other things. And I'm like, I gotta have an opinion here. Oh, just throw it right on it, dude. I probably said that, but I mean, like that sounds so
Stroking
bad because I am such a I love Pokemon so much. It's crazy.
Well, dude,
Stroking
if you're
you
not
out.
even going to defend yourself, I won't.
No, I mean, dude, that you're
I'm gonna
probably
sell out
perfectly
really quick.
valid.
Hey,
I forgot this was up here.
Hey,
orange is a nice color on you.
There we go.
perfectly valid to attack me because I have the worst takes half the time. So
Man, now I don't even want to anymore. Hey, can I just say like hashtag stop the Curtis hate?
no,
Can I just say that? Here's my hot take for the pod. I feel like you need a different target who's less who wants it less.
I want it. I
You
want
know?
it.
Like if he's not defending himself, if he was dishing it as much as he's getting it, that's good.
Then
But
they should
I,
come at me because I did.
I hear you guys piling on Curtis and then Curtis piling on Curtis, and I'm like, wait, it's too much.
I like it though.
Hold
I like
on.
it though.
But behind the scenes, there's so much love for Curtis.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Totally.
Genuinely love Curtis.
I am a inviter of self-deprecation, so like
he does. I admit.
love it.
Like off camera, he's always self-deprecating.
Because
and I actually have to talk you up.
yeah, but it's
I'm
not
like,
like
quit
where
talking bad about yourself, dude.
it's
Only
not
I
where
do it
I'm
on
not
camera.
like I don't have assurance of myself, like of who I am, right?
Yeah.
I want that because I know who I am, and nothing else changes me as long as I'm around the people.
Yeah, and,
I
and
love.
you've said that to us because I've even said it to you, like, you all right with this and that? And you're like, yeah, I actually like prefer it. Like, especially when you said you're like going through a rough time or something, you like want us
That's
to
kind
shit.
of, Gabo's
like,
kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Like he likes the humor towards his accent. He
'Cause-
does.
I mean, there's so many things that people are going through out in the outside world. They kind of like. I don't mind taking some of the heat off of their life to like target something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as it's not like where it's just like toxic. But I like the joking and poking and my terrible takes. I love that kind of stuff.
And it is never toxic towards you, ever. It is always in good.
Well,
So-
there's been a few, but I mean
Has
like
Uh-oh.
from this guy?
no, not from you guys. No,
Oh,
no,
not from us.
From outside sources where it's just like there's not like there's only like a not a legitimacy behind.
I was going to say
comment.
from us, it's always,
No.
I feel like is,
I could.
Oh yeah.
I love you guys
light-
so much it doesn't matter.
yeah. It's the least toxic thing.
But I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Caleb, quit making it feel bad.
You know, I'm an outsider a little bit. It makes me feel uncomfortable when you poke at his mom so much.
Well, everyone's poking his mom, dude.
Apologize for all the poking of Curtis's mom.
Yeah, that's funny.
Gabo,
All right, how
like
about-
Gabo
how
the
about
other
you got
day,
one more?
I said that to Gabo the other day. I was like, oh, he like, you know, like someone in the comments said something like, you guys make fun of his accent so much. And Gabo was like, I genuinely be worried if you guys weren't making fun of it. He'd be like, they don't like me anymore.
Yeah.
Like if we weren't poking at him. So, but yeah. What's your other one?
All right, my next one is back to Riff. You said nothing will ever be better than the original Turtles because they laid the groundwork for everything else.
The original Turtles movie.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to. Yes.
And I heard that and I was like, huh, does that mean that Pong is the best video game?
No. I am
Because
specifically
it laid the ground, or like, is Snow White the best Disney movie?
That's arguable. I would say I was speaking of the original Ninja Turtles movie because the newer one came out.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype about it, and I feel like the hype was hot and quick, and then after I was like, it really wasn't as good as we all thought. It was just kind of hot and new.
Yeah.
I just felt like the original one, it was like Pong is mediocre in the end, right? But Ninja Turtles original wasn't mediocre. It was like pretty extraordinary.
Okay.
For what it was. So I feel like all the newer ones, they've all been pretty. I use my Beatles analogy on that last one. I remember I used the Beatles analogy for that. It's like, yeah, anybody can go rewrite a Beatles song that's already been the groundwork. The brilliance has already been made. And they go, yeah, but we added another harmony in the chorus, so it's better. There's a better riff, a better arpeggio in here. But in reality, it's like, well, the brilliance was the hardest part of it, of what the Ninja Turtles movie with the, the way the characters were made and the suits were made. It's like, that was, to me, a level of genius that if someone just goes back in there and adds a little to it, it doesn't to me.
How many more do you have on that list, sir?
I've got 2.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this one is actually a duo, Riff and Chris.
Ooh.
Who said, and this one is controversial. I think I put this one in here because I was the dissenting opinion. You said that video games were better in the 90s.
Yes.
I agree.
I just wanted
stand
to
by
Agreed.
that.
Click, double check. Yep.
I'm gonna stick by
Here's
it.
the point. Like, and I totally respect that for you guys. But in an objective sense,
Yeah.
they're not.
You're wrong.
Like, would you like you'll confess that, right? Like, they're not objectively.
I would say that they're better.
Let me ask you this: you get the average 10-year-old kid who's never played a video game,
Got it?
and you take some 60-year-old lady who's never played a video game,
Yep.
and you give them both Mario 64 and Mario Odyssey. Which one are they going to say is better?
Give him Super Mario World and
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Sure.
Give them
I
the
would-
Super Nintendo.
Sure,
I would
either
take
one.
I would take Super Mario World
No,
over
they're
that.
not, dude. No, they're not, dude.
I would think Super Mario World.
I think Yeah,
Dude.
if somebody played Super Mario World, I think that they
I
would
think
like
Super
that.
Mario was almost the defining perfect video game.
You're barking.
and to me, it
is for
is.
people who are nostalgic for it and who have
No.
an appreciation. And like everyone can pick up and play Mario World. It holds up amazing. It's an incredible game. But compared to what is now the peak of like the video game world, right? Like the best of the best is better than the best of the best in the
I also
90s.
think you're talking about just jumping in and playing. I mean, the average video game nowadays, there's so much more problems. There's microtransactions up the yin yang to where you can't even play the game. There's so much more just garbage. Even like if you look at the eShop, it started out with so much promise. Like, look at this eShop. This is going to be amazing. They put Blaster Master Zero. 2 years later, it's like garb. It's just anything makes it and anything goes. Finished games is huge for me, right? You
Yeah.
can pop it in, press go, and you're playing Earthbound.
I would
right?
accept that. I wouldn't argue that the average game now is better than the average game in the 90s, but I would say the best games now are definitely better than the best games in the 90s. The caliber of
Well,
the top level
I don't
games has
know.
increased.
What would you take? This is a tough one. Would you take What is better, Tears of the Kingdom or Link to the Past?
Link to the Past.
Tears of the Kingdom.
That's a tough
a
one.
Chrono
for me.
Trigger, a Final Fantasy 2,
Sorry.
a Super Metroid.
Now, Link to the Past
Did
is
you
one of
say
my.
Final Fantasy 2?
Final Fantasy 2 is incredible. I love Final Fantasy 2. It is so good. And Final Fantasy
Doesn't
3.
pretty much everyone agree that Final Fantasy doesn't get good until 6 or 7?
No.
Opposite. I don't play the Final Fantasies after
Yeah,
6 or
but
7.
The 16-bit
what I'm
Final
saying-
Fantasies are great.
Like give the average person who's not a total nostalgic gaming nerd that series of games, they're gonna say the later one. They're gonna say Final Fantasy 7 Remake is the best one in the series.
I think Super Nintendo is going to break any generation.
The only reason I might say that the Tears of the Kingdom is better than Link to the Past is just the amount of like world, like Link to the Past is such a shorter game. Tears of the Kingdom, like I was in that for so long and
Right.
exploring so much. But length isn't always better. Like a longer book isn't necessarily better than a shorter book.
Totally. Ask
But
my
in that
wife.
way, I
Yeah.
was very wrapped up
So
in it.
my son's like a big Zelda fan. He's only 10 years old. And he finished Tears of the Kingdom. He finished Breath of the Wild. He hasn't played Link to the Past because he couldn't really get into it. But he has played Ocarina, Wind Waker, and those are his favorite games.
Oh.
Not the new stuff.
Ocarina.
So, but
Wind Waker's
he
amazing
is
too.
a bigger fan
Yeah.
of Odyssey than he is Super Mario World and stuff like that.
I do love Odyssey.
You know,
I think we can chalk this one up to an agree to disagree.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I truly believe the Super Nintendo was the greatest time in video game
I
history.
second that.
I just do.
too.
And
I
maybe
think that the
that's because
games that came out are very
you know,
perfect.
we lived through those times, and you know, games releasing then are different than where you know they're a dime a dozen now. Where then it seemed a little bit more special, not as many, and now that we've been able to, as adults, kind of see these games in context, we just have like different views of them.
But there is something you said earlier about like the brilliance of it. Like Metroid Dread is really, really, really good game on the Switch. But when it came out on Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo, like that game is incredible.
Yeah.
It is so good. And maybe because it was the brilliance of it at the time.
Yeah.
You're like, this is unbelievable how good it is. So.
Yep.
And you know, there's a lot of games that are like Caleb was saying. There's a lot of games that are coming out that are great. Maybe it's too many, and it's not as special anymore. But
All right. I would say hold that last one for the end of the next topic because I would like to know what that last
Our final
one was.
topic?
Yeah. So, you know, how did you understand like you were going to be the guy of the flipping and resell channel, like of YouTube? Like you'd be the guy.
What made you popular? So, flipping channels were, there was flipping channels. There was collecting channels. At what point did you realize or think that it might be a thing? I actually have some insight to this as well because I was with you.
Yeah.
To where you were like, I want to take what the reselling community is doing, the collecting community is doing, and give them much more than we're getting from the content that was available.
I don't really have a moment where because my channel growth has been very gradual. It's never been any explosive, like, it definitely, the rate of growth increased with the GameCube Gambit, but it wasn't like a rocket ship. It was still like relatively slow and steady. So there was no moment for me where I was like, oh, like, I'm going to revolutionize this or whatever. I've always just had a general sense that, like, I think what's made me successful in YouTube and in business is that one of our other core values is I want to make everything I do 1% better every day. So whether that's getting better at thumbnails or storytelling or having more punchlines or crafting a narrative or finding more interesting people to interview or whatever.
Yep.
Optimizing our inventory system. I want to make something better every day. And you expand that over the course of 4 years and suddenly you can get really good at stuff.
Something you said to me early on when we were first starting to work together is you were like something along the lines of like, there's the collecting community, there's the reselling community, but you were kind of one of those guys that came in not thinking about reselling content per se and what people were doing and mimicking that. You were kind of one of the guys that was more watching what the younger generation was watching, like the Ryan Trahans and the Colin Samirs and the Mr. Beast. And you were like, I feel like this community could be getting such better content than we are getting. Right. And I didn't take that offensively because obviously I was one of those guys putting out collecting content at the time.
Yeah, I think I was referring more to the status quo of resale videos, which is very much like either like a thrift with me video or a yard sailing vlog or an estate sale vlog that's like very minimal editing, no story, afterthought thumbnail, just kind of like, let's see what happens. And then that's going to be the video rather than like, I want to plan a story. Right? Like I know the kind of story I want to tell, right? I want to take people on a journey. I want this video to be a gift to my audience rather than just like extracting ad value. I'll tell you a story that I think kind of crystallizes this for me. when I had probably like 30,000 subscribers. I went to this reseller event called Reseller Rally in Cincinnati. And I was like young, really hungry on YouTube, and every person there, like some of them had like really big channels, 60 to 100,000 subscribers, and some of them had like less than me. Every single person I was pestering the whole time. What are you learning about YouTube? Like, teach me what's working for you, what's not working for you, what are you changing up? Like, help me figure this out. And a lot of them were just like, dude, like you've gotten 30K subscribers and like you're doing good. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. But I was like, no, like teach me stuff. On the flip side, a year or so ago, you and I did a panel at a video game convention that was about how to grow on YouTube. And there were probably a dozen or so other creators there who have YouTube channels. No one showed. And I think that hunger, that like desire, just insatiable to get better, is what has resulted in the channel continuing to grow, when a lot of others kind of find something that kind of works and then stagnate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I remember you pushed me during a time when you were like, you're already making good content. What are you doing? Like, not putting time into like a thumbnail and a title.
Yeah.
And that literally, from talking to you and Rick, literally changed my life. From the trajectory of me being like, oh, I should. And then I see this go up. I see the numbers go up, right? And it's not like I sold out. The content is already what I'm doing, right? It's that you're like, why aren't you putting time into certain other things? Why is there no hunger about thumbnails or this, or even at the time sponsors? Like, what do you...
Well, because you had already done the hard part, which is making great videos.
Yeah, that's
but you
the hard
weren't
part.
giving people the chance to discover it because your thumbnails were so terrible.
They were so bad. Just a million images of PNGs of like little Samson image over here, this crowd, this things everywhere. And now it's funny. We were talking just the other day. I've literally gone to the opposite side where I'm putting as little as my thumbnails as possible. Like literally me, you can't see the games, and
simple.
It's nothing behind me.
Yeah.
But
it's not low effort. It's simplicity.
strategic simplicity.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is finding channels like that that are getting relatively low views relative to the quality of the stuff they're making, the stories that they're telling, and just saying. And I try to fight the urge to be the guy that's giving unsolicited advice, like,
Oh, look at me. I got a big channel. I got something to say.
Yeah.
But when I find one, I'm like, dude, do you know that if you just redirected some of your effort over here, you could see 2, 5, 10 times the results and not do any more work.
Yep.
It's like finding a penny stock.
Yep.
You know, and just being like, hey, like, you just need to get pushed over the cliff and you're going to see so much momentum. It makes me so happy.
Were you aware when you started focusing more on the reselling, like that resellers could receive a lot of hate? Were you prepared for it? Or were you just kind of like, this is what I'm doing, like, yippee, yeah, right? Like, and then realize later, like, oh, yeah, people don't like this. Like, did you have an awareness of it?
I don't think anyone can really be prepared for it. It's not something that they train you for. You know, there's nowhere that you can go to like prepare, I don't think. It's kind of something that, and different channels will receive different levels of it.
Totally.
You know, like you can, if you're in a relatively tight niche and like your content isn't getting served to a lot of people who don't already know you, you'll likely, stay in a pretty tight group of people who are kind of cool with you. And like, not everyone has that experience. And especially when you're new, people in general like to root for you a lot more. It's once you become the status quo, you become the incumbent. I was saying in my video earlier that like nobody's favorite store is Walmart. Right? That's freaking boring, right? They're the bad guy. It's Goliath. No one roots for Goliath.
Yeah.
So while you're small, you're still David, and everyone wants to root for you.
Yeah.
Because you're the underdog.
Maybe prepare is the wrong word. Did you ever anticipate it? Did you ever go into it being like, man, if I put out this video about like all this reselling, like people might not like this?
I kind of always knew that, like, because I've never shied away from the controversial topics and like saying, like when there was all of the WADA frenzy about graded games. I have a very deep instinct in me for balance, right? I made a video recently interviewing the CEO of Limited Run Games not because like we're chums or anything. I didn't know him beforehand, but I was like, man, the narrative about this company is so overwhelmingly negative online. Is it really that bad? I've never seen him get a chance to really share his side. you don't hear the other side of the narrative. So I was like, man, this could be a great chance to 1, pick up some great Switch games, 2, see a really cool video game store, 3, hear some of his business knowledge, and also contribute to more of a balance in the space. There's something in me that really craves that. So I've leaned into topics where I have kind of a hot take, and I'm like, you know what, guys, if you're really into video games, like, there's not really a viable alternative in the market right now other than WADA. Like, VGA's submission process is completely archaic. You never know when you're going to get your games back, or even if they arrive. Like, if you're looking to, like, kind of feel safe and, like, have more of a sure, like, WADA might be the way to go, even if, you know, I probably shouldn't be saying that. Instant hate, you know, I brought it on myself.
You got a lot of hate for that.
Did you do that right in the heart of all that was going on?
I didn't shy away, man.
Oh, you didn't shy away.
I've given people plenty of reasons to, like, I have all kinds of wrong opinions.
So that one, like, you anticipated. You must have known, like, if I put this out, I'm going to get slammed.
I just try to be the guy that, like, people can trust to at least say what I really think. You know, there's a lot of pandering out there, and I don't want to be that.
You know what? That's
I respect that. I mean, that's a good. I like that. I mean, I give you credit.
Whether you even agree or not,
appreciate
right?
that.
I do.
Still, that's respectable, commendable. What's the word?
Respect it.
I think commendable.
Or commend it. Yeah. Because it takes balls to do that.
Yeah, it takes
cojones. It does.
What's interesting, or like that kind of like type of content reminds me of, is like you're able to like give the other side of the story, like Tyler Oliveira.
Yeah.
Like he goes in and goes into that controversy, unbiased.
Let's everyone talk.
Unbiased.
You might have to give people context on that one.
It's just a channel. It's a YouTube channel. It's like a news. He's not like an official news outlet. He's just somebody that will go into like the most drug-induced city, or like why they're having the issues. Like he'll go to the ground level of that and actually interview people and go through it and show the real side of news that doesn't get shown, right?
And let them talk. I think that's what I notice is you let both. It'd be like him going into a Trump rally and a Biden rally and not cutting anybody, no matter what they say about either side. You're like, okay, yep, okay, that's great. Thank you for your words, you know. And I feel like, you kind of have that, which does lead to hate, but I think it also leads to, you know, something that is more commended from people like us because it's respectable. You know, it's so easy to pander on YouTube. I remember during that time, Retro Rick was like, he had his Mario that he got graded.
Uh-oh, don't expose him.
I'm going to expose him. He got it graded with love. He watches. He got his Mario 3 graded. And at the time, it was during the height of the WADA or graded game goodness, right? Where you could sell your graded game for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I remember going over the phone call with him. He got it graded, and right when he got it graded and got it back, it was right when all the crap came out about WADA.
Uh-oh.
And he reached out to me and was like, I don't know what to do. I could sell this game right now because right now this will sell. I think it was something like $27,000 or something. Jeez. Like it will sell for this money right now if I sell it. But now it's public that I got this graded. I don't know what to do. It's WADA, right? Everyone's like, don't sell your WADA, just to show them. And Rick was like, I think I'm just not going to sell it and see what happens. He ended up getting like $4,000 for it, like years later. And I was like,
and some people.
And I admit though, I wish, you know, as his friend, I was like, Rick, I know the community might not like it, but you paid for the game. That's the market right now. I told him, sell it. If you're gonna make $25,000 and buy your wife a car, make $25,000 and buy your wife a car right now. You know, he didn't. I don't know if he regretted it. We joked about it later on. It sold, I think, on Whatnot. I remember texting him right when it sold. I'm like, holy F, that sucks, bro. Like, that sucks.
That also is bold to do. Like, there aren't that many Whatnot buyers that have that kind of change to throw around. So that's pretty bold.
Very few and far between.
It was bold.
It was a sealed copy?
Yeah. It was a big boy one.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a big boy one. And he got a high grade. It was like a 9.6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, Riff, back to your question about, you know, you helping the channel.
Oh, yeah. So this was, might seem out of context now, but I asked you earlier.
Gosh, we totally got off of that.
And I meant it serious, and I'm not asking this to try to pump me up or not, but I am just curious.
Yeah.
You know, as you say, a narcissistic YouTubers that we are. Came in, started editing for you around 66,000 subscribers or so. You know, met you. You were sitting at a bar alone, the way you typically hang out in life alone with no friends. Just sitting
Especially in hotel rooms.
Yeah, and I remember Corbin and Amy at the time introduced me to you. I knew who you were. You commented on my videos, and I just, you know, I went and talked to you, and we talked about editing. And before you knew it, I was editing for you. Do you, or is there any percentage that you think accounts to my editing coming in that push the channel up or not. This is literally not me asking to pump myself up as much as I would love to.
Just give him a big fat 0.
I wouldn't care if you said big goose egg. Hey, dude, it's me. I get it. I won't even.
Hey,
I am not offended.
For me, that would be a very expensive goose egg. Let me tell you.
That's true. That's true.
No, I would say the thing about an editor is they don't contribute to new views coming in. An editor's job is to tell a good enough story that people who watch the video end up coming back and coming back and coming back.
Agreed.
Because you made them feel something, right? You made them laugh, you made them cry, you gave them a nice game hunting high, right? The music hit right, and the intro was snappy and they stayed and they watched. And that I would say is huge, right? Building a following of people that come back and watch whatever you upload. And I would say, do I want to say that? I don't know. In the game hunting, because keep in mind for this entire conversation, we're talking about a niche of a niche, right?
Totally.
So if it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, like this is a small pond that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I think relative to other like game hunting or reselling channels, the channel has one of the highest average views per video.
It does.
And that's on an individual video, it's more because of the thumbnail and the title.
It is. I agree. I think it's 80% of
But
what.
across a whole channel, especially with a series like Mission Switch, it has everything to do with the editing. I would say. I don't know if I could put a number on it,
You don't
but
have
I
to.
would say like
Put a number, put a number, put a number, put a number.
Be careful, the rates might stuck.
we actually
No, we've completely changed the way we do rates. Let's be honest. Up front, we used to do like solid, like this is what it is.
Yeah.
But now it's so the video could take me anywhere from 10 hours to 30 hours. We don't.
afterwards I just ask him, what do you want to get paid?
He literally does. We don't even say. And now I've gotten to the point where I say, final versions in Rev 3, this amount. And you're
Yep.
like, cool. And that's just how we do it. Back in the day, we used to be so tiptoey. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to.
You did.
I did because when you work for someone and it's like, it's a business together. We're not Walmart, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
Sure, I could try to take advantage, right? And be like, he doesn't know how many hours I put into this. But at what point are you shooting yourself? It's like stealing from the own company you work at, right? Like I would never do that, right? So it's like, I'm not going to be like, well, I could try to get this out of him. But it's like, no, I want to make sure that even if I did put in the extra, sometimes I'm willing to put in the extra time and still take less than I would normally ask for to ensure that you're feeling good. We can function and continue to function together, right?
We
what I
have
mean?
shared interests.
Shared interests, yes.
Yeah. And now that we've been talking all about our fancy corporate core values, our third and final core value of our business is pay your partners.
Yeah, you do. Yep.
Which is first employees, then contractors, then our one-up users.
Yep.
And what that means is I'm not looking for ways to pay my people less. If anything, I want them to feel overpaid rather than underpaid. And that's a very uncommon, especially like in like most video game businesses. Like it's hard, especially when you've got multiple stores. So hard to just like really pay well.
I think I have 30 employees.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I've got the luxury right now of only having a few. And so as long as I can, I'm trying to make people feel overpaid rather than underpaid, because ultimately I think it's a good long-term strategy because it lowers your churn rates, right? There's been no editor turnover so far in the history of the channel.
Yeah.
And to actually answer your question, I would say before the GameCube Gambit, I was averaging maybe like 30 to 40,000 views a video. Now it's like maybe 120.
Yeah, well, and then your business ones are shooting all over the place now. So
I mean, it could be 50,000 or it could be
2.5 million.
Yeah, on the very high
you're
end.
pushing high on those.
Okay, so this is pretty much for the three of you. So I want to start with Lance. What was your favorite part of creating content with Retroware?
There's two things that really stuck out when I was doing content. It was, my stuff was more like history of games and really just showcasing games that like nobody really knew about, or technologies, whether it be an arcade game or a board for an arcade, but just the positive feedback on just positive feedback, really. No way to kind of reword it. But you know, just I never knew about this. You know.
So yours was the community experiencing something. And
Yeah, it really was. It's just because it just reassures like what you're doing is you're doing it right.
Yep.
That's great. How about you, Caleb? Well, what was your favorite piece of content that you've made thus far?
Ooh.
That you actually enjoyed yourself and not be like the Scrooge?
Maybe you should go first,
Bless you.
Sneezy.
Bless you.
From my channel or from that I edited for your channel?
I'll do both.
Yeah.
My favorite videos that you do are the videos where I get to help film it.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy not only the brotherhood and camaraderie during the filming process, but I'm also holding the camera. So I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I wish I could get every time so I can get... I mean, we had videos even in the Florida one where I'm like, hey, before you go, you just gave an emotional monologue. Let me put the camera on a fixed position, walk down this long hallway, don't look back, let the door close, let it be 20 seconds long so I can have it fade out to black with the music. Like, I like the start to finish, and I even like the editing process that much more because I know what's coming.
Yep.
Right? You're editing, you're like, boom, I know what's happening next. My favorite video I've done of ours probably in the last year was the 90s narration video I did, where I narrated what the 90s meant to me.
Yeah.
And that's probably some of the most comments I've ever gotten
that
of people
great.
being like, this was just, I mean, it's me splurging on our childhood and why it was great.
Yeah.
And I loved that. So,
for me, I tend to love the ones that I put the most effort into. So in this last year, the two that come to mind are the video, ironically, the video of the last 3 months of making One Up.
oh yeah.
Which got terrible views, worst views in years. Was almost an hour long, just shy. Was an awful edit, and so few people saw. Relatively, I mean, it's still a lot of people.
Brutal edit.
But boy, I was so proud of that video.
Yeah.
And another one, this is going to sound really self-celebratory, but there was a video that I put out in December that was how I sold $3 million of video games from my basement, which was way more scripted than I normally do. I was drawing on the whiteboard the whole time. It was very teachy, but also high effort in terms of keeping it visually engaging, and kind of walked through the history of the channel too, and felt a little bit like a memoir. And
That's a lot.
I was referring to, I believe.
Yeah. And as, from an editing standpoint, I mean, behind the scenes stuff, like people, you know, to understand, getting close to 45 minutes of narrated footage with just audio is a long task to know that you're going to be editing. I mean, there's not the, you know, the difference between being on camera if you're not an editor. You can be entertaining. Just, I could film you, Chris, talking, move around. Oh, look at this game. But if you're just giving me your voice for 45 minutes, that's like, that is a journey to edit. So he knew going in, he's like,
yeah. And there was a lot of A-roll because there was a lot of like whiteboard stuff, and there was look at these games. But there also were segments that I was like, this has to be mostly like, let's bring footage from this year, and you're going to have to download 8 videos from that year and pull footage from them to
Google
illustrate
Docs
this point.
Of here's this minute, use this minute, this. I remember I sent it to my editor, which is funny enough for my channel, because he would get it, and I'm like, look at this, and he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, are you guys doing that? I'm like, we're doing this video. So
My editor's editor.
Yep.
Chris, you doing okay? You hanging in there?
I'm not a content creator, so I don't make videos, but what I love, the content that I create, I like building businesses, small businesses.
Yeah.
Every store that I've opened is its own business. And then like Retro World, Lance and I started that one 2015, and then pulling like the team together for SoCal. I like the ground up building it, and then I haven't done it with the expos yet, but the stores I've kind of removed myself. I like figuring out within the business how to like build it and then remove yourself, that they operate on their own.
Yeah.
And but the building of businesses in general, I love it. That's my passion, and helping other entrepreneurs too build businesses.
I want to end on a high note because that was awesome. Let's see what your last take is on our channel. Do you still have the last one for us, Caleb?
The last take?
Yeah, like a little hot take that we didn't get to.
Ooh, here's one that's kind of for you. The thumbnails are terrible.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's not actually a take. That's my take on the channel. And I don't know. I'm curious in the comments whether the viewers agree with me on this one. Like, if you watch other podcast videos, how do the thumbnails of this podcast stack up?
Yeah.
And I can tell you that if people like them, they're wrong. People are gonna be
I mean,
so
that's
mad
fair.
at me.
I mean, literally, I don't have.
Trust me, Chris and I have been talking about it.
We literally have the funds of nothing right now.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one.
so
Yep.
like when you're just pretty much breaking even for a lot of the costs of just
Running the podcast.
running a podcast and all
Right.
that, generally you have to figure out where you're gonna cut it, right? So I mean, if I were paying $10 a thumbnail, I mean that's what you're gonna get.
and that's
$10
as
thumbnail.
cheap as it gets.
And you just told me, I mean, even the gear in here was so expensive. Like you got, it's
Yeah,
gonna
I
take a while.
spent like in general, like my own money, like $12K. So
Well, here's the good news. I think that the thumbnails that you need are actually simpler, and it's likely that the designer you have could pivot. You might be able to still get it done for really cheap. I would just switch the strategy a little bit. We'll talk about it afterwards, but
we'll take that.
we'll take it. We'll take it. And guys, like I said, we got the 1UP app, and we have Chris's Retro World is coming up as well with Lance. And like, guys, go and visit.
1-up.app for him.
August 23rd through 25th for Retro World.
And I want
in
to say, like, you
Connecticut.
know, I'm glad that Caleb's here, man. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. Lance, thank you
Lance,
for being on.
too.
Thank you, guys.
Filling in for hardworking Ricky. And guys, thank you for all the support. We love you guys so much. Appreciate y'all.
thanks for having me. This has been the highlight of my career.
Wrong hot take.
Yeah,
Oh, my butt hurts.
yeah, me too, dude.